We're gonna feed the ducks. Why not? Does that put you to sleep? You not driving? I'm a night driver, but not tonight. We don't need no stinking music. Hello. There we go. Click it. Where I can see the chat. Where I can see the chat. Yeah. All right. So get my cover sheet. Working on new character here. Little ink job on this. Get this done. Bye bye boom. How I saw you in the Pop X Big crowd. Yeah, chat. Thanks for checking it out. Absolutely. Uh, yeah, I was glad to be home tonight and love Niles over there. Love Billy. Uh, it was good to see you. I didn't see you over there in the chat, but I'm sure you were there. Uh, good to see you. Bye 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 boom. Uh, yeah, I was in there for a little while. Um, interesting. Was that a Kickstarter? I'm not sure. I didn't catch that if that was on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, that particular project that they were talking about. Perhaps you can tell me. Va boom. You sound very I'll keep it to myself. Va 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 boom. Indiegogo. Okay, Tantalizing Adventures was my book. Oh, okay. Well, if you want to come on here, the link is right there in the chat. Come in and talk about it. But you may not want to. I mean, after I promise to play kid gloves with you, I won't and fund my comic. Okay. Is it second chance over there at Fund My Comic, or are you doing it simultaneously? Splitting the vote. Welcome, device not connected, Paul. Try that again. There he is. Oh yeah, Paul.
Hey,
Hey, Paul.
doing. Hey, how you doing?
Good. Great. Yeah, just doing some sketch cards, trying to do some things ahead of time. Yeah, pretty nice interview over there. Had the whole crew over there, right, for your book?
A lot of AC Comics folks. A lot of AC Comics folks on there.
AC Comics,
AC, yeah.
like Bill Black.
Well, Bill Black. Yeah, yeah. Bill. Yeah. Bill did my cover. Bill did one of my covers. Yeah,
Oh, he did.
yeah.
Well, hmm. Okay, Paul. I got some stuff to show you. Have you seen some of my AC Comics collection?
That is what originally brought me to your stream.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you ever saw like unpublished shade cover that he did, and I've got some unpublished stuff from AC Comics. Was it Fun Comic he did? Like
Yeah,
4 issues came out.
yeah. Fun Comics. Yeah, 4 issues.
Yeah, I have the unpublished number 5 cover penciled by him in there. Um, love some Bill Black. He's a great guy. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, got an old uh, Black Hawk reel movie reel
Mm-hmm.
from him. One of the old.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
remastered some of the old public domain movies into DVD.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got some of them here. Yeah, just right here, handy. Oh, and here's this is only half because it's folded, but one of the old promo posters
Hmm.
from like I think 1983. Had Captain Paragon there, and
Yep.
yep, and Shade there. I think that's Shade, isn't it? Not Shade. I can't.
It's the Shade. Yeah.
The Shade. Okay. It's been a while since I've read some AC comics. Oh, and something that you may have not seen. You may have seen all that other stuff I talked about, but I recently saw in my collection. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that. Film Force. Film Force just went over 200, celebrating their 40th year. 200 issues. I have the layouts, the page layouts for a complete Film Force story for each
Oh,
issue.
for the complete story. Wow.
Yeah, and then I think I'm not sure if no, that's a different one. I actually have the artwork, a couple of the production things to a cover to Film Force.
Yeah.
I got all of that stuff on eBay directly from him back 2014, I guess it was 15.
That sounds about right. He's got a store on eBay. Red Mask is his eBay store.
Yeah, yeah, he loves the old Western stuff. In
Yeah.
fact, back here I have somewhere buried a picture of him when he's a little kid reading a comic on his front door porch or somewhere, and it's signed by him to somebody else. I just picked that up on eBay as well, so that was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Him as a kid reading a comic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's going pretty good. Now, Paul? Are you the writer of your project?
Yeah. I wrote all the stories in there. Yeah.
Okay, how many stories has the
It's
comic got?
it's 5 stories. They all feature my character, Alina. She's a Jungle
Okay.
Girl character.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah.
I only caught
So,
part of it, so
yeah.
forgive me for not knowing.
Yeah.
Now, is it over on Indiegogo or Fund My Comic or both?
It's on both, but Indiegogo you can get an original sketch by one of the artists on the
Okay,
inside back cover. So
okay. So that was first over on Indiegogo, I'm
it
assuming,
was
and then
first on Fund My Comic, and
oh,
then I
was it?
put it on Indiegogo. Yeah.
Okay. How did it do over there? I'm not.
Well, it's still on. It's still on both of them. It's
Okay,
going to be
how's it
on
doing
Fund
on
My
both?
Comic.
How's it doing on both?
I mean, I'm just now getting out to promote it, so
Oh, okay,
it,
that
it's
helps.
it's I'm 9 day a weekend roughly
Hmm.
on Indiegogo. I'm halfway to the $500 goal. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so
Well, good. We'll
I
start
think we'll
pushing
get
that a
there.
little bit. We'll
Yeah,
start looking at that campaign a little bit. Uh,
yeah. I mean, it's all
I
about
like it.
classic comic books,
Yeah, jungle action. Is
jungle
that?
action and adventure. Yep.
Yeah. Now, what is your background in comics? I mean, that you.
Um, I
I mean, when did you start reading them? When did you start collecting yourself, or did you?
I started reading them 52 years ago.
You may be older than
Yeah,
me. I'm 57.
I
I'm
got
Billy.
you.
You do just by a
I
little
got
bit.
you. Yeah,
Just
by a
by a
little
little
bit.
bit.
By
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
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 I'm Billy Tucci's age and Dan Lawless's age. We're all the same
Yeah. No,
age.
I'm 65. I was born.
65?
I was born in 65.
Well, I was too.
Well, I'm 58.
Yeah, but I'm in November.
I'm in June.
I'm in the tail end of it. Okay, so happy belated birthday, by the way.
Well, happy early birthday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, why Voom?
Um,
You like the women?
I do, but
Your lead
you
character's a
know,
woman.
back in the golden age, comic books were like, wow, whiz. And I was trying to think of something
Bang.
that
Yeah.
bang, I was trying to think of something that was along those lines, but women, and I was
Biff,
like, va 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 boom. That's
Biff,
what.
Biff, Bam, Pow. I just
Yeah.
watched the first couple of seasons of the old 66 Batman, had them all,
Yep.
all the
Yeah.
sound effects. Chunk, you name it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got to
So
meet
that's
Adam
pretty.
West once. That was really a thrill of a lifetime
I got to meet Yvonne Craig once, and that was a
Ooh,
thrill of a lifetime for me. So.
I bet you probably still hadn't come down after that. Oh, but I'm thumb. Yeah. Yeah, she played in the original Star Trek too as a green slave girl.
Absolutely.
Yeah, did you get her autograph?
I did, but I'm horrible at like keeping autographs that I got from people, so I have no
Yeah.
idea where it is. But I
Well,
did
was
get
it
it
like
at
a
the time.
celebrity shot or was it
It
as
was it was it was at her table, purchased a headshot of her, and she signed it.
okay? I just wondered if she was in the Batgirl outfit or the green slave girl.
No, it was just actually a headshot. I don't
Can
think
you
she was
imagine
even
that?
in
She
the.
had to be covered almost head to toe with
I
that
know.
green paint.
Yeah.
That must have been took a little bit, you know, to get it
Yeah.
to look like not streaky or anything on her skin all
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. Well, TVs were lower resolution back then.
Yeah. You know, Lou Ferrigno, this makes sense because he played a Green Hulk, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
He in Star Trek Continued, which you can watch all 10 episodes on YouTube. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It deals with the first 5-year voyage, you know, and Scotty's son is in that plays Scotty because Doohan's passed away. And these were done several years ago. And they pick it up and they do sequels, to some of the episodes, not everything, but he plays a slave owner, one of
Oh,
those green slave owner men from that planet.
yeah. I got to
Yeah,
meet Lou Ferrigno once too.
did you?
Yeah, he
Uh,
actually
it,
was. He started teasing me because I had some food he didn't have.
in my collection, I have he and Adam West, which we were just talking about, for a very short time in Florida, had a restaurant together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Apparently, it wasn't successful or something, but their menu was a comic book, and I have one of those in my collection.
Huh,
A
that's
menu,
cool.
a comic book from their restaurant that wasn't around that long
Wow, that's cool.
down in Florida. Yeah, without any stains on it, food
no,
stains.
no mac and cheese stain on the middle
No
of
mac and cheese. Yeah, I love one of the early, I think 1933, one of those early 15-minute shorts by W.C. Fields. And he's going over the menu with them, with the, I'd like this. Well, we don't have that. We're at it. Well, I had that. We don't have that. He's going, well, what's this? And she goes, that's last night's roast beef gravy. And wipes it off the menu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad. Is this your first book to get out, Paul?
It's
Or
my first crowdfunded book, yeah. But I've
yeah,
I've written some stories for FemForce before, so
have you?
yeah.
Okay. Uh, I'm surprised. Do you know Eric and Boyd? Because he
I do know Eric, yeah, yeah.
okay. Did we try and get you on once before? It seems like
Um,
no,
maybe I don't
maybe
know.
because there was a
I
friend of
don't
his.
know.
There was a friend of his from AC Comics that we were supposed to have on.
Well,
Um,
I probably not me. I think I know who it might have been, but I'd just be
okay,
guessing.
I'd have to look it up. But hey, Bone, um, uh, we have a bone in the house and a bone to pick. But yeah, uh, that was who was on with you over there at Pop XP?
Jason Martin
Okay,
had a kind of a, I'll call it a space girl book, but it was
okay.
a
So
very
was
pulp, very pulp.
okay. I thought it
Um,
might have been your artistic crew or somebody that worked on the
no,
book.
no, it was
Okay, yeah,
three different books.
yeah. When I
So
did the Devil Flyer Ash Can over there, oh gosh, maybe 2021, September 2021. Uh, they had me with a Kickstarter guy that kind of had golden age art. It was a focus on. I was real fortunate because I was uh, you know, they lined up, man, they lined up like Dan Pleagle and Pedro and a bunch of people that had like Tropical Magic, Goblin Girl. They had like 5 people on. They didn't get very much time at all. I got half the show. I was very fortunate.
Yeah,
You know, you got a
yeah,
third of the show, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
So,
No, it was great. I enjoyed
yeah,
it a lot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm glad we'll finally get you in there. I've seen you in the chat and even recently, but I didn't know that you had done some writing for AC Comics. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What was the titles? Was it FemForce?
I I did FemForce probably about 6 different issues. I had something in there.
Yeah.
Cover stories for 119, 124,
Wait, let me write these down.
132, 139. I mean,
Okay.
it's I probably 6 issues. I did Femzine 3. I had something in there.
Now I
Um,
have one production piece that's a John Buscema Tarzan cover that was not used, but then it was used in a later issue, but not as a cover, just as you know, uh, 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 we didn't use this, so we thought we'd print it, and with a different inker. And it was newcomer to Marvel, Bill Black
yeah,
on the.
yeah, yeah.
So what do you know about Bill Black? Did
Oh,
he
I've been friends with Bill now since the late '90s.
now he's in Florida, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So are you in Florida?
No, I'm in Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay. But
But
have you met him, personally met him?
several, yeah, on a number of occasions. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
He's like a
Whenever I'm in Orlando, I try to make a point of going to see him up there.
yeah,
But he lives north of Orlando.
yeah. Now I know his wife back in 2014 was going through some health problems. Do you know anything
She's
about
still
that?
she's fine. We're
Good.
everything's good.
I'm glad to hear that because
I
I
mean,
really hadn't
you know,
known, you know.
everybody's getting older, though. I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
you get
he's in his
older, you get older,
70s.
you get older, and things start to break down. But
Bill's older than you and me. He was
oh,
like,
absolutely,
yeah, he's in
yeah.
his 70s.
But you know what? He's making movies now.
Oh,
He's making movies with his characters.
don't I know it?
Yeah, no, Noka's one of the inspirations for my book. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Stormy Tempest.
yeah, and I know I've got those too.
Do you? Yeah, you
Yeah,
probably. I've been out of the loop. I haven't gotten, you know, everything, but I
yeah,
did at one time. I got everything he had, and these are all signed by Bill Black. I
yeah,
kind of got him in the habit of signing it. It's like, can you sign these?
yeah.
And he
No,
did. You know.
no, he's a great guy, and he doesn't get nearly the credit that he should get for all he's
Yeah. Now
accomplished.
this is him here, right there, isn't it?
No,
That's not him.
no.
Because
Mm-mm.
sometimes he plays in his own movies, doesn't he?
He has been in a few of them, but that actually is not him.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's not him. Well, maybe I don't know what he looks like. I do have that shot of him as a little kid.
yeah. There's some
So,
pictures of him. There's some pictures of him on the internet, but
oh, okay. I
he's
just need
older.
to. I need to
He's a
learn
little
this
older
thing called
now. He's a
Google.
little older now.
There's one of those
Yeah,
that he
yep,
remastered.
yep. Absolutely.
This has got to
Yeah,
be stuff from his childhood.
it is.
Yeah,
It is. I
you
mean,
know he
he loves
loves the.
that stuff.
You know, at one time the top 20 um, TV shows were all westerns.
Hmm.
That's how dominant westerns were, I would say, for about 20 years, you know, if
Yeah,
not longer.
yeah.
Um, and so he grew up on all that western stuff. I know Mike Barron loves the old westerns and stuff. Here's one
Western stuff.
he
The
actually
early.
produced, so he signed it for me. Uh,
Yeah,
Lost Planet,
yeah.
these old movie serials.
Well, that's. I mean, it's westerns. It's the old like sci-fi serial movies that would play in the movie theaters.
Night Vale.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You probably got all these, huh?
I
Except
have.
maybe maybe some of these that he didn't do that he.
I don't have all of them. I have,
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
tried to
the.
get I tried to get every one that he had at the time. Now, I know he did one with one of my main characters is like a man thing, a swamp thing, and
Mhm.
he did a movie with a moss
Moss
monster.
Monster. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, Lorenzo. Um, and he wrote me a nice note here and signed it with this book. Um, it says, "Sorry, this took so long. I had to order it from AC Comics." And I'm like, "Aren't you AC Comics?
Uh,
Can you
not.
explain that to me?"
Yeah, he stepped down as the publisher and head of AC Comics. He
Oh,
retired. He
okay.
retired and then came back to work for them as a freelancer.
Oh, really? It's just
Yeah,
like
to get them to 200 and beyond 200. So he's been working on their
I
books for
did
the
see the
last few
video
issues.
recently where he said, "Thank you for getting
Yeah,
us to 200," and it's
yeah,
right on the 40th
yeah,
anniversary, so that works
yeah,
out.
yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, he stepped down. Mark Heike runs AC Comics now. So
okay.
Mark has the back catalog of stuff is kind of he's got it for sale. AC Comics is back catalog, the stuff that they own, stuff they've
Uh-huh.
got copies of.
Uh-huh.
He's the one who has physical control of them.
Okay. Well, this was he says they were out of stock. Here it is at last. Thanks a million for all the support. It's a big help, Bill. Um,
Yeah.
and this is volume 10 because he does some very expensive volumes like this reprint stuff, like
Oh
big,
yeah.
thick $30
Well,
comics.
it's. I mean, absolutely. But you got to think you couldn't read them. You couldn't buy those stories. Yeah, Crypt of Horror. I've got that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you couldn't
I
read
think
those stories. You,
this
you
is a
couldn't buy
Frank.
those stories for
Yeah.
$30.
If you could find these, it costs you a fortune.
Exactly.
Small fortune. Yeah.
So you get to see. There's a
Yeah.
lot of work in putting that together,
Yeah.
and
That's
then
actually,
you
this one
know,
here is actually Frank Frazetta cover.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
So well worth what I paid for it. I don't,
absolutely.
yeah.
You might have $500 worth of stories in your hand for $30. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is a $30 retail book it by
yeah,
itself. I
yeah,
don't know what I gave for it, but, oh,
yeah,
I gave $25.95 less than cover price for it. So pretty
yeah.
good pickup, you know,
Pretty good. Yeah.
signed by Bill Black and Silver. So can't do much better than that, huh?
No, no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had him sign everything. It's like that film reel that is, of that movie of that Superman or no Black Hawk serial played by what's his name? Alan that played Superman in the serials. You know him?
I don't. I don't.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's I should know the name. It's in there. It's in by my TV. Uh, but he's got his like name and address on that thing 3 times. I'm like, wow. You know, I don't know if that's his current address, but well, I guess I should have put that back in there. Oh, I don't want to. And look, he just put it on like a docu-print note.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to lose that.
Yeah, when I get art from Bill, I usually get a little head sketch of Batman on the cardboard that he uses to keep the art from folding
Oh,
over.
that's great. That's like a little remark, what they call a
Yeah,
remark.
yeah,
Yeah. Uh, he he's really underrated. But what I wanted to ask you, I know he worked for Marvel because I saw him do that one piece over Buscema on their version of Tarzan, while DC in the '70s did their own version with Joe Kubert. Uh, but uh, did he ever work for DC? Do you know
no,
what are the different
no.
companies that he ever worked for? Did he just work for Marvel
Warren,
a little bit?
Warren, he
Warren
did work for
Publishing.
Warren,
Okay.
and he did work for Marvel.
So
There's a
was that like Creepy magazine or what he
I'm not
just
sure, but
Just kind of
there's a documentary on Amazon called
okay.
Strange Luck: The
Ah,
Tale of Bill Black,
yeah,
and you'd love it. I think you
yeah.
would love it.
Well, Bill Black was one of the
It doesn't cost very much, and
we
it's
we
available on Amazon.
we
Strange
all
Luck.
stand on the shoulders of people like Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and Ditko and a bunch of others.
Yep.
But Bill Black too, even though he's lesser known, he's an early independent guy that
He,
had Paragon Press in the early
yeah.
'70s. Worked with Jim Steranko probably because before he went to Marvel. Would you say probably?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably right before he went to Marvel. Early, I know he did a cover or two for him,
Yeah.
Jim Steranko, and then would do reprints like that Frank Rosetta and
Yeah.
other. He probably even met Frazetta and some of the greats and stuff. I'd like to pick his brain one of these days, and
Yeah.
because he's one of the guys that were doing independent comics, not just fanzines, but
They were
actual comic
called them
books out there and distributing them.
basically prozines that you distributed through like mail order lists that
Well,
you
now uh,
collected.
that's a term I've never heard before. Prozine. That sounds like
Prozines.
Prozac.
Yeah, well, it was kind of what fanzines developed into when you started having people who would eventually become professionals started
Okay.
contributing to
Oh,
them.
prozine. You're
A
a
prozine.
professional
Yeah,
zine.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And so
Well,
he was selling them, so they weren't just like giveaways. They were he would sell them mail order his
right.
zines.
Yeah, he and Chuck Rosansky
Yep.
of Mile High Comics
Hmm.
really took advantage of that mail order
Yeah.
in comics. That
Yeah.
that Mile High ad probably ran in Marvel for 15, 20 years.
Well, I think
Long
you
time.
know those zines he did is how he kind of got in touch with some of those fans who went on to become people. And I mean, that's how he met Roy Thomas. That's how he met other people, and ended up working for Marvel. So
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to retitle today's Va 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 Voom.
yeah, yeah. Hey, cool with me. Go back to Analyzing Adventures on Indiegogo.
That's right. Now, why Jungle Girl action for your? Is that your great love? Did you like?
I like Tara the Jungle Girl from FemForce.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Bill introduced me to Iris McCalla as Sheena back from the 50s TV
Oh,
show.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So I like good girl art. Jungle
Yeah,
girls end up in skimpy clothing.
right.
There's kind of so I had developed this jungle girl like 20 years ago. But she's definitely inspired by the Jungle Girl stuff I read that AC has done,
Okay,
that Bill's done.
all right.
So
Yeah,
um,
I
but
loved it
that's why.
I loved it in the early '80s. That's when I first came upon Captain Paragon.
Yeah,
Bought it,
83.
read it. Actually, have the cover. It might be. I think it's the color guide to number 3.
Yeah,
Uh, um, because I bought back in 2014, 15. I bought about $1,300 worth of stuff from him. In
yeah.
fact, oh, you can't see it on camera. Oh, let me begin. Wider shot. That's one of the books that he came out with. Wait,
Yeah, Pretty Girl Sketchbook.
pretty good with a Frank Miller
Pretty Girl Sketchbook. Yeah, the
Frank
Pretty Girl
Miller
Sketchbook.
cover. Yeah, it's got
Yeah,
John Byrne and Bill,
yeah,
Bob McLeod, all kinds of artists in there.
yeah,
Yeah, I've got a couple
yeah,
of copies of that. I think.
yeah.
Uh,
It's funny. I was at a convention once walking around, and I already knew Bill at that point, and he starts introducing me to all these because I was getting sketches from artists of FemForce characters.
uh-huh.
And so Bill's like, well, go to this table, go to this table. I ended up with a sketch from Bob McLeod. I ended up with a sketch from Paul Ryan. I ended up all these people that started, Greg Horn, all these people that started with AC Comics
Yeah.
and had gone on to other things and were bigger names.
Did Bob
And
McLeod?
yeah, he some of his earlier work was with AC.
Really? I
Yeah,
did not know that. I actually met Bob in 1983
yeah,
at a convention
yeah,
over in Memphis, a smaller convention.
yeah,
He was there like the second day of the convention. The first day was Joe
yeah.
Staten. So I got to
Yeah, and
meet
he
Joe
might
Staten.
Bob might have been even from the Paragon days. I think they knew each other from Paragon publications.
Wow. And you know what? I've
Bill's
probably
closing.
seen maybe him in the credits or something. I really do like the credits. That was one of
Yeah,
the things that I thought Marvel did right is they showed the credits, and DC not so much in the early days.
yeah,
Uh, so people didn't get credit for their work. I mean,
no, no,
but once I think they did do the credits, early 80s, these people kind of flared up and became superstars.
yeah,
Even the writers like Chris Claremont and the artists like
hmm,
John Byrne, Terry Austin, and then even some of the colorists have gotten some notoriety. And I think that's a good thing,
yeah. Well, I mean, I say this a lot. When I was a kid, I kind of liked the Avengers at Marvel, and then I liked Conan and Red Sonja from Marvel,
Yeah,
and then I liked All Star Squadron and Infinity Incorporated from DC.
yeah, yeah,
And I was probably in my early 20s before I realized Roy Thomas wrote all those books.
yeah. And
I never,
All Star Squadron
yeah,
was written
yeah.
by him.
So I never, you never
I should-
connect up because, I mean, as a kid and as a youngster, you're not looking at the names, even if they're there. But then I kind of realized, wait a minute, that's the same writer. I've been following this writer from book to book, from company to company, and I
Yeah.
didn't even know it. I just happened to like his writing.
Hey, Shadowhawk, links in the description. You're probably wanting to go to bed. Yeah, we got Paul on here. We used to work for AC Comics. Awesome. And he's got a Fund My Comic and an Indiegogo. You're kind of splitting the vote there, Paul.
Money's money.
Yeah,
They can buy it in two places.
yeah,
They can
yeah.
support it in two places.
There you go. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm aware of that Jungle Girl that you got to meet. The sort of the blonde. She was blonde, right? Very sort of Jane Russell out there,
Oh, the Irish
classic.
Macalla.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She was a.
Long
I'm
legs.
surprised. I'm surprised more people don't know about Irish Macalla.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was
She was
something
a
else.
looker. She was a looker back in the day. She kind of
Yeah,
personified that the sensuality of a woman at that time. And I guess pretty popular on TV.
yeah,
Eye candy for those fathers when they're
yeah.
not watching westerns.
And a strong character. I mean, she was a strong female character in the
Hey, film
50s.
fan.
It's well, I am femme fan. I'm
Oh,
I'm
you
femme
are.
fan one.
I
Yeah.
thought I had a new subscriber. Darn it. A
No,
possible
that's
subscriber.
me. I was responding to Shadowhawk Talks.
Okay. Yes, I'm off to
He
bed,
says,
but
"Hail, Paul.
listening.
Good to meet you."
Good night. Uh, yeah. I've wanted to know more about Bill Black. I really don't know a lot about his total story, but now I do have his book signed by him
Yeah,
on Paragon.
yeah.
And I probably just need to break it out and
Well,
read it.
like I said, that documentary on Amazon, "Strange Luck: The Tale of Bill Black," and
Okay.
also he's got a YouTube channel. It's hang on one second. He's got a YouTube channel. He posts a lot of stuff on it, and a lot of it's about creating how do you create comic books, how he created them.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And the production of comic books, how to, the whole production and
Yeah.
putting together.
Yeah.
His YouTube channel, let me find it.
Yeah.
Um,
Find that for me.
let
I
me find
may already be subscribed. I don't
yeah,
know. I know he
yeah.
did. He dropped the Film Force thank you to fans video, but I don't know if that was from his channel or not. So when you get that,
Um,
definitely jump
let
over
me
there and see if I am
let me
subscribed to you.
let me look through here.
Uh, I'm wondering.
Something black maestro. Here it is.
Black Maestro?
Black
Really?
maestro. Well, it's not actually. It's like it's. Hang on, let me come back to your. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put the link. I'm gonna put the link in the chat.
Okay.
See, it's in the chat. That's that at BLK Maestro. So that's his YouTube.
Okay.
That's his YouTube channel.
Okay. Hadn't come up on there. Hadn't come up yet on. Oh, Film Fan. You need a. Do you go by Film Fan?
Yeah, I do. That's me.
Well, I mean, you have Voom, and then you have
Yeah,
Filmbase.
I actually have two YouTube accounts. So, but one's
Okay.
FemFan1 and one's Va Va Va
Well,
Voom.
good. Both of you can subscribe to me.
I may already be.
Okay. Double check that for me. There, I added you. I added FilmFam1 as a moderator. Gave you a wrench.
Oh, okay, cool.
That way, no matter what account, you can. No, why
Cool.
isn't that
Cool.
working? Uh,
Yeah.
can you? I don't know why it's not going up. Can you drop a message from Boom? Or can you
Hang
just
on.
tell me if you
Hang
have
on.
if you already have a wrench? I can't tell.
Well, I put it in the. I put it in the Bone just put up with the wrench. Bone just put it in.
It's not going. It's not going high enough for me to see if Boom has a wrench. So you'd be so kind to drop some message under that, uh, and we'll be in business. Oh, let me go down here. Let's see. YouTube Bone put it in. BLK Maestro. Okay. I am subscribed to that. 34
Yeah,
videos.
that's
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
picture in purple at the top, the picture in purple, that's Bill. That's a picture of his face.
Okay. And you know what? I saw him on that thing recently that he did on the 200 Film Force.
Yeah,
Uh, that other guy looked like it might be him. And
yeah, yeah.
okay.
But you
So,
can like if you go into his videos, it's got AC Comics history one, two, beginning 1, 2, and 3 are down there in his videos.
yeah.
Those are good to watch. Um, the interview with him down at the Daytona Beach Comic Con, that's a good one. That's got good information. Um,
Okay. I am subbed to you as well over there on
yeah,
YouTube
yeah, yep.
already.
And the
Uh,
130-day Doom AC Comics history, that's another good one. So you could watch any of those and find out a lot.
okay. Yeah. I just need to find time to do that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
there, I'm going to click on one of your videos. That way, that'll be under my recent history. Oh, I see you have one on the Blue Bulleteer. She's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I love
Intro to
that's
film.
actually my favorite. That's my favorite Femforce character, the Blue Bulleteer.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
Miss Victory, Intro to Film Force Animation. What is that? Is that just
Uh,
something they put out that was animated?
hang on. Let me go to my YouTube and see which one you're looking at.
Oh,
So
you got Power Factor video up there. What if comic book villains eliminated the superheroes?
yeah,
Yeah, Power Factor. Well, I have some
yeah.
Power Factor.
I did a review of it because I
Yeah,
remembered it from back in the day.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Now
Yeah,
you
that
never did. Did you leave a comment as va voom?
could I leave a comment? I don't
I
know.
mean, a recent one because for some reason
I
on YouTube, I can't back up enough to get your first comments and see if you have a wrench.
I th- I thought I had a recent comment the other day. I was on there. I thought I commented. I thought I.
Oh, why is okay? So you've dropped this YouTube for Bill, and so did Bone, but it's not showing up on YouTube. Your comment. At least I'm not seeing it. Let me see. Take another gander. I'm not seeing it on YouTube. What the hell?
I don't
Uh,
know.
might be a little bit
I saw
behind.
it. Yeah, maybe. That animation is something that I did. I did with an artist.
Oh, you did it.
Well, yeah, I wrote the. I wrote this. I wrote the.
Oh, okay.
I wrote the story for it, and he
Yeah.
animated it.
You know what I would like to see? I would like to see out of AC Comics. I would like to see him do some of those motion comics. Those would be right up Bill's alley. I mean, it seems like I don't know. You'd have to get voice actors. You'd have to do camera moves and stuff. But that would be a good step for him to take with his filmmaking, I think. And I think, if you could bring Film Force to life on, or some of his other stuff, maybe some of his early Captain Paragon, that'd be awesome. You
Yeah.
know,
He's done some. He's done like a Fumetti type photo comic for digital release.
okay, yeah. So I'm going to come back to this because I don't think we fully explored it. Why you were influenced by the jungle? Have you seen like the old jungle comics from Golden Age? Like I have a book in there that has like the old jungle comics
Yeah, yeah.
covers.
Bill reprinted Jungle Girls. He had a reprint book called Jungle Girls Comics, and
Oh
he
yeah, I
reprinted
have
them
one
in
of
that.
those. Or
And
yeah,
yeah, and then he had Good Girl Art Quarterly had a lot of the old Jungle Girl stories in it too.
yeah, that was part of a series that was called Golden Age something.
Golden Age Greats probably.
Golden Age Greats, and one was all Jungle Girls. I remember a
Yeah,
big,
yeah.
thick little thing.
Well,
You
he
know,
actually
one of
had a series called Jungle Girls too. I think there were 7, maybe even 13
I
issues.
might even have some of those. I've got like a whole short box of nothing but
Yeah.
that stuff that I got from
So
you.
that's part of the whole reason why I did a Jungle Girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just kind of wonder, why I lead off. I mean, my lead off a character I decided back in 2015 was going to be my swamp like character. And it didn't turn out that way. I mean, he's going to be in the book, uh, in the first issue, in more than one story, but he's not like the lead character. The lead character is Devil Flyer, but that's the way it worked out when you
Yeah.
work with other artists. So you have an artist for your book. Evidently, you're the writer. Was there an inker, or did the artist do the inks on it as well?
It depends. I mean, some
Because you
so
have 5 stories. I guess that's your
the, the
answer.
the the person who got me into writing stories and convinced me to write a story for AC was Ed Coots, who's an artist in New York City.
Okay.
And I had become friends with him, and he wanted to do a story in FemForce. And he asked if he knew I knew Bill Black. He asked if I wrote it, would Bill publish it? And I asked Bill, and he agreed. So that was our first collaboration. So that artist, Ed Coots, is kind of like my partner,
Yeah.
and he does a lot of artwork for stories that I write.
I just need to pray
Sometimes he
harder.
sometimes he inks, sometimes he pencils and inks, sometimes he does ink washes over things.
Yeah.
But I also one of the people who's been penciling for FemForce I'm friendly with, and he's penciled one of the stories and Ed inked it.
Mark Hinky, I think,
Well,
worked,
Mark Heike is
or
now the
Hike.
head of FemForce.
Oh, he is.
He's an
Okay.
inker, but all he spends all his time working on AC comic stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I've got some of his unpublished and other stuff in there. I'm aware of him. Some of the other artists that worked on
Yeah,
some of the AC stuff.
yeah. I mean, in the recent issues, Bobby Ragland, who's one of my artists, he's done a lot of FemForce work
Well,
in
now I was actually
recent.
asking about your artist. So you have more than one artist on the 5 stories.
Yeah.
Was that you wanted a stylistic difference or throughout the
Um,
book?
it sometimes it depended on when the stories were being done.
Hmm.
I mean, are you familiar with Rudy Nebris?
Yes.
Well, he penciled one of the stories for me.
Oh wow. How old is Rudy? He must be in his 70s too.
He is.
Yeah.
But I met him through Ed Coots.
Okay.
And Ed wanted to ink a Rudy story because Ed's
Mm.
primarily an inker.
Yeah. There's certain artists
So,
you'd
and
like
they
to
were,
get your hands
yeah,
on.
and they were friendly.
Yeah.
So I wrote an 8-page story. I wrote an 8-page story, and Rudy agreed
Hey
to a
Timmy.
price that I was willing to pay
Right. Right.
and penciled it. And then Ed inked it and put an ink wash over it. And that's the kind of the background. That story was done 15 to 20 years ago. And that's the first 8-page story in the book. I got it colored, I got it lettered,
Mm-hmm.
and but the art Rudy did 20 years ago, almost not 20, probably 15 years ago.
Oh, okay. Uh so you have different artists and different inkers, I guess,
It
on
depends
the
on
story.
the story, but most of the inking's done by Ed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of neat when they can ink their own stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Kind of
yeah,
saves paying a different
yeah.
person.
Ed inked Rudy. Ed inked Rudy. Ed inked Bobby Ragland, and Ed inked himself in 2 stories.
Okay.
And then Rob Jones, who apprenticed for Dick Giordano until Dick Giordano died.
Yeah.
He was the penciler and anchor for the 5th story.
Now I have to ask, and this may be a hard no, because he was publishing through Paragon. Did Bill Black, to your knowledge, ever do anything for Charlton Comics?
He okay, so he, he licensed Charlton Comics characters from Charlton
Oh yeah,
right
the
before they went under, or right before they sold to DC.
right, and the and Sentinels of Liberty.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so he did those Charlton characters are in a and then but then they lost the license. So he turned them into analogs of those characters and published them in AC but with different names,
Ah,
etc. Because the
so
stories had already been drawn.
that's kind of like they wanted, originally Alan Moore, I think it was Alan Moore wanted, or Dave Gibbons, I think probably Alan Moore, the
Yeah,
writer, wanted to use the Charlton characters, the question uh,
yeah,
and all that. And they wouldn't, so, they had to do the same thing with the Watchmen,
yeah, yeah.
just similar characters, but they kind of
Almost,
stood
yeah,
for the whole Charlton.
same kind of
Yeah.
situation. Yeah,
Yeah, because I imagine Alan Moore, he read a lot of those early Charlton comics, even though he's over there in the UK growing up, and loved the characters and wanted to use those. But DC at that time didn't want to use them like that. Um,
yeah.
so you had Captain Atom, you had I forget the female's name, but uh, the Question and Blue Beetle. But I mean, yeah, I loved it when he made them the Sentinels of Liberty over there at AC Comics. It seems like they lost the license fairly quickly over
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It was before they ever had a chance to publish the their version, I think. Yeah, I mean, right after they had done it.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Was it?
yeah.
I can't remember. Was it just the one book?
I think they only got the one book out, and then they had
Okay.
but they already were in production for more. So that's why they changed the name and changed the character names.
Okay. And what was that title?
They
Do
called
you
it
remember?
Sentinels of Justice instead of
Oh,
Sentinels of
Sentinels of
Liberty.
Justice. I don't know if I had that or not, or was even aware of that. That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. I may have it in my collection. I may not. I hope my power doesn't go out. It's kind of storming here, but we'll push on through. Yeah, yeah, I'd love to get Bill on the show and talk to him.
Well, I mean, if you
Because I would really like to find out more about him because he is an early independent guy that was out publishing books and doing what we're kind of doing through crowdfunding now. Can you imagine how the world would be different if Bill Black were a little bit younger and he was doing the crowdfunding thing? I guess he might through FemForce at some point. Who knows?
I think I don't know. We'll see. I've talked to him about stuff like that, but
Yeah,
he's
he's old school, isn't he?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I said, man, we need to talk. I was going to like give him my phone number. I said, we've got a lot of the same interests. I'm younger, but I love old movie serials, a lot of the stuff that you do. And of course he was going through a lot of stuff,
yeah,
but I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So like,
yeah.
oh, the way, I don't know if you heard the story of how we kind of got in contact on eBay was, I'd ordered an old Golden Age Australian book, I think it was, that he sold, and the way he shipped it, I got it a little bit damaged, and I was like, "Oh, this not happy with this." I don't know that I went off that bad, but then when I saw Bill Black, I knew who it was, and I said, "Hey, Bill," I said, "Don't worry about it; it'll be okay." Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I knew Bill Black's name, and I said, "Bill, you do AC Comics? You do? Well, oh yeah,
yeah,
you're on eBay. Oh, or I mean, I guess I knew because yeah.
yeah,
At that point, I really kicked it into gear and started, and that's when his wife was going through chemo and stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
yep.
was so she beat it, and she's in good shape, huh?
Well, I mean,
Considering,
they're still going.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
know,
just have to wind that knob up a little bit tighter. Wind up toys, if you don't know. Some people, young people, they don't know what we're talking about.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I'd like to pick his brain, man. He's probably met a
Well,
lot of people.
like I said, I mean, if you watch those videos and you look at that documentary, you'll have probably even more questions.
Okay, yeah, yeah, because he does a deep dive. What really intrigues me is he was out there doing it
Yeah,
before a lot of people. He was a pioneer. He was a trailblazer. And I don't. Do you know how he distributed his books? Just through mail order, huh?
yeah. It
Yeah.
was through they had like mailing lists that
Different
they
ads
developed.
and
Yeah,
things like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Old
And
school.
they would advertise in other people's books, and that's
Yeah.
how they got customers to their books.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
he would have ads for other people's zines in his book.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah. Can you
you know,
imagine the amount of work that he had to put in to
yeah.
just promote
Well, and
his book?
that was his side gig. I mean, he was working a job, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, but if I'm remembering correctly, AC's publisher number with Diamond is 6 or 8 or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, that's
How early on he
That's
was?
how early on he was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's Marvel, there's DC, there's Archie,
Yeah.
and then there were a few independents that beat him to it, and then he's like 6,
Yeah.
and he's the only one other than Marvel and DC and Archie that are still published.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to know how many books he's come out with. I mean, over 200 issues of Film Force alone, which
Yeah,
is quite an accomplishment. 40 years. Uh, I know he likes the good girl stuff because he films that.
yeah.
I'd love to
I,
know how he kind of got
I
into
think I think they've had almost 100 issues of Men of Mystery. I mean,
Oh,
they've
yeah.
done, yeah,
I've got a ton of those
yeah,
because it's, I mean, obscure characters from Golden
yeah.
Age.
Oh
Where
yeah.
does he get that material to? Surely not
Finds
his own collection,
No,
right?
he finds worn. He'll find like a worn out copy
Okay.
that's all chewed up basically,
Uh huh.
and they have a process to take the color out of it and digitize it,
Okay. All right.
and then he and Mark will fix any of the ink lines that got messed up. And
Yeah.
with the color out,
Okay.
now you get to see what the original illustrators' inks look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they'll have, this printed on nice black and white high contrast.
Yeah.
And you can really see the original illustration chops of, Milt Caniff or Alex Toth or Nick Cardy or
Uh
whoever.
huh. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. He's probably king of the reprints.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all stuff I guess he wants to see in print because he does
Yeah.
like obscure characters like Twister
Yeah.
that might have only made a TNT Todd. I don't know if he's ever done that character, but uh, some of those obscure
Yeah.
characters. I have
Well,
a old Golden Age called the key number
yeah, the
3. I
key.
haven't.
The key,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if he ever did the key, but
Probably.
yeah, probably. Yeah, because he does a
Yeah.
deep dive into those
Yeah.
Golden Age characters.
Well, he reprinted a bunch of old Magazine Enterprises Ghost Rider stories.
Yeah, the
And
Western Ghost Rider.
yeah, the Western Ghost Rider that Dick
Yeah,
Ayers created for
yeah,
Magazine Enterprises. Then Dick went to Marvel. Dick went to Marvel and drew his character for Marvel, and Marvel took it. You know. So anyway, Bill reprinted the old Magazine Enterprises Ghost Rider stories that were in the public domain,
hmm
and he sent a copy to like Dick Ayers because he had gotten Dick Ayers' address or something, just to show him that he had reprinted this old story he did. And Dick Ayers wrote him back and said, "Where's my royalty check?" so so Bill actually paid him and then hired him to work on FemForce.
yeah.
So that's
Wow.
how he ended up having Dick Ayers working on FemForce, is reprinting the old Magazine Enterprises Ghost Rider.
And gave him a royalty check for his old
Yeah,
Ghost Rider stuff.
yeah,
That's cool. Yeah. Um, I've got some of Dick Ayers' independent stuff because he did some independent books too. I think with his son. I've got one. I forget his son's name. Maybe Randy. I'm not sure.
that
Anyway,
might be right.
or
I can't remember.
and they both signed the book. But yeah, even Dick Ayers did some independent stuff there. I
Yeah.
guess toward the end of his life.
Well, so Ed and Dick, I also met Dick Ayers through Ed,
Cool.
and I had Dick draw his Ghost Rider character in pencil,
Uh-huh.
and Ed drew one of AC's Western characters in pencil, and then Dick inked Ed's character, and Ed inked Dick's character, and then Ed watercolored it, and AC used it as the cover for Best of the West number 43.
I like Bill Black's inking. He's probably done more inking, and I knew him more as an
He's
inker
an inker.
than an artist.
He's an inker, but he's also, he's a writer. He's
Yeah,
written more Femforce stories than anybody.
really. I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he's really invested in that book.
He's really brought those characters along.
Yeah.
They're I mean, AC as a company. I mean, and it's been two or three people,
Yeah.
but Bill, when they started out, they were kind of, oh, that's a nice little superhero group.
Hmm.
Over the years, they have so much personality and so much.
Yeah.
Fans of that book who've been with that book for any length of time know exactly who those characters
They're
are.
hard to
They
find,
don't.
bro.
They don't change. I know they're hard to find.
They're hard to find when it hits the back issue, Ben.
Yeah.
You just don't hardly, I've gotten production artwork to certain ones and wanted a copy to go with my production artwork. Here I might have original or production artwork to the book, and I can't even get the book, which you would think would be more plentiful. These are one of a kind items, and I can't even get the books. It's multiples out there. It's very
They're low print
frustrating.
runs. They're low print runs. Low print runs.
Low print runs. Yeah. Very low print runs. And people that generally have them don't get rid of them. I mean, when Mile High Comics doesn't have a copy, it ain't out there.
It ain't out there. Exactly. No.
Yeah.
There's two issues of Femforce I don't have, and I don't think I'll ever have them.
Well,
they're
I'm
just
sorry
not.
to hear that you pulled your hair out over it. Fortunately, I've not done that yet on everything, but it is thinning and whiter than snow. But yeah, very interesting character, very interesting guy. I mean, do you know how was it back in college days that he got interested in film? I mean, actually doing
I
some of
think
these.
he was a student at Florida State, and he was in the video department. That was his major.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before he jumped into comics.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was an artist.
Yeah.
He was art and film, and I mean that's what he did.
I think it's Tales to Astonish or Tales of Suspense. I think 1962. I have one of his childhood comics. And I said, could you write me a thing? And he wrote me a certificate of authenticity. I mean, spot on what it needed to be. It was like, this was originally one owner book, 1962 must have been, fairly young at that age when he picked that up off the stands. And it's like a prototype to the Watcher character, they say. One of my favorite characters, cosmic Marvel characters. But yeah, I didn't know if he had ever worked for. So you don't think he directly worked with Charlton, huh? Just with the Charlton
think so,
character.
no.
Yeah, and he didn't work for DC.
I think he contributed to Charlton Bullseye, maybe.
Oh, maybe the first run of that was magazine size, or there was a Charlton comic book.
You may find information about that in those videos or in that documentary, because it goes through pretty. I don't remember all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, vaguely how long he worked for Marvel?
I think just a few years.
Just a few years? Yeah.
If that.
Because I hadn't seen that much. I mean, I know he inked that one John Buscema cover that they didn't use, which they later put. I think it was supposed to be, John did 2 covers, and they used one and they rejected the other, I guess, and it said, and he did it like, I think he might have done them on the same day or the next day. maybe he wasn't, and it had a different inker on the first one, but Bill Black, it said welcome newcomer. So I guess whenever that came out, and it was supposed to be covered to Tarzan 8, I think, and it appeared in like the letters page or something. It's sort of as a bonus. Ever wonder what this would look like in maybe issue 14, something like that. So later on, but
Yeah.
I was like, Bill Black. Oh wow, I didn't know he worked for Marvel.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It's and I think, and I could be wrong, completely wrong about this, but the only other work I think he might have done outside of AC is he may have been a an anonymous contributor to some of the Dark Horse Star Wars stuff.
oh wow, anonymous.
Well, I don't remember what it's called, but
Yeah.
he, I think some of the people who worked for AC did some work on those books,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what, or you know,
Yeah.
ghosted. I guess they call it ghosting or
Well,
something like that.
he could have drawn, he could have inked, he could
Yeah,
have wrote. I
it
mean,
would probably would have been inking,
yeah.
but I'm not even positive that he was one of those people.
Do you think in his mind he looks at himself primarily as an inker? Or is that just what he's done the most of, you think?
I think at this stage of his life, he looks at himself as a creator
Okay.
because he's a filmmaker, an inker, a publisher,
Mm-hmm.
a writer. So I don't think I mean, I've seen old paintings he did from the 70s of like Star Wars characters. And, I
Yeah.
mean, he is just an artist.
He's versatile. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just an artist. And I
Would
think
that have
he looks at
been
himself as an artistic creator.
oil paintings that he did, or was it acrylic, or do you know? Or
Um,
like watercolor or gouache?
on the AC Comics FemForce Facebook group, or maybe it's on his page on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
He posted some of those pictures, and I think he said that they were acrylics, but
Okay.
he didn't have the originals. He only had like the slide of the
Uh,
original.
like the little
So
bitty slides that you
yeah,
used to make.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so he posted them. They were in black and white, not in color, or
Okay.
they were in yeah. So, but you can see. I mean, it's one of them was Kirk, and one of them I think was Stock. This would have been from the late '60s, probably, maybe
Yeah.
early '70s.
Yeah. I'm really surprised he hasn't hit the sci-fi genre more, actually, because I do know he likes that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I could see where he very much probably likes the
Well,
Indiana Jones.
Stormy Tempest is his sci-fi character.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he likes the ray gun type
Yeah.
50s
Yeah.
Flash Gordon type.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. He's old school, like
Yeah.
sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh I can only imagine growing up when he did on little bitty I mean, if you had a TV, that was something. Any kind of TV. Black and white. But now
Yeah.
I have nowadays you can get like I have a Cisco Kid.
Yeah. Cisco.
Hey Pancho from the early 50s, and it was in color.
Yeah.
I
Technicolor.
mean, that was early color TV, for a series to be all in color in the
Yeah.
50s. I mean, if you just had a TV set,
Well, you couldn't. I mean, most people never saw it in color.
never saw it in color, and yet they filmed it in color. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Because that was the expensive process back then. But apparently it was pretty popular.
Yeah.
But if I said Lash LaRue, Bill would know that.
Oh yeah.
He would know all those. I remember. Now I don't know when Zorro went public domain, but I do know he reprinted Zorro
Yeah, but
more than once.
Zorro's public domain, but it's really tricky.
Yeah,
So
because Disney did a version, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the same actor that played him played. Was it in? It was either Time Tunnel or Lost in Space. The same actor. I can't remember. Uh, that played Zorro in the Disney version. Uh, I don't have those Disney version, but all the people that like Zorro.
It's Lost in Space, but I can't remember his name.
Okay, Lost in Space. He was the main guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Lost in Space. Yeah, and those kind of his two claims to fame there, Zorro, and I do remember seeing that when I was a kid, very young. Drooling in front of the TV set, little
Yeah.
kid, maybe with a bowl of cereal, making a mess. I don't know. Uh, Good times, man, when all you got to do is sit there and exist in front of the TV set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, you're just inundated with so much.
Yeah. Well, my kids won't even. I mean, they binge watch TV shows, and they won't. I can't get them to watch some of the old classics shows. It's
Yeah.
just too
Yeah.
old timey.
Yeah. Well, there's like Sam Peckinpah movies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
He lingers on the moment. I recently watched Stanley Kubrick's 2001 again. Now that's lingering on the moment.
Yeah.
That movie is,
Yeah.
but it's not this, sound in space. It's classical music. There is no sound in space, so he puts
Yeah.
music in there. But unlike Star Wars, and I have heard, I'll go with this theory. The sounds that you're hearing are from the mic must be inside the ship. That's why you hear
Yeah. Yeah.
the sound effects. But you can imagine Star Wars if you just saw the action with just silence.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. Yeah.
It wouldn't hold up. It wouldn't. No.
I did a sci-fi story once, and I had the spaceship blow up, but I knew that it wouldn't. You couldn't. It wouldn't blow up. I mean, it would come apart, and that would. So I didn't
George
have a
Lucas.
big sound effect for it blowing apart because it wouldn't make a sound. It wouldn't. It would just come apart.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a particular genre besides Jungle Girl action, like your campaign? Is there a
Well, I
particular
have.
genre you like to write most?
I have a superhero character. I have a
Okay.
superhero character that's gonna, that I do stories with. I've got a detective, a pulp detective, a time traveling pulp detective.
Okay.
I got a sci-fi girl. Yeah, I got probably 5 or 6 different characters. They're all different genres, but a superhero. I like superheroes. I got a superhero, but they're always good girls. They're always girls. They're always women.
Yeah. Now, were you primarily a Marvel, DC, just independent guy growing up? What?
Um,
With what you
I
read?
I've always liked superheroines.
Okay.
So
You like the
or
girls.
just I like the girls. So
Yeah.
I loved Red Sonja. But I read She-Hulk. I read the original Miss Marvel. I read Silver Sable even from Marvel.
Yeah.
And I collected Wonder Woman. I particularly liked Before Crisis, the Huntress, the Helena Wayne Huntress. She was one of my favorite characters.
Uh-huh. I have a Joe Staten Huntress page.
I like Power Girl. I've never been that into Supergirl, but I like Power Girl.
Well, of course you like Power Girl. I mean, she was always more than Supergirl.
Yeah.
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 She was like Supergirl from Earth 2 with Botox.
Yeah. So Um, yeah, I mean, I think overall I preferred DC because DC Comics had more superheroines, more good-looking superheroines than Marvel did.
Yeah.
But I did like some of the Marvel characters. I liked Valkyrie. Um,
Oh yeah.
I even like Moondragon.
Oh yeah. Bald. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's probably when you had hair.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I like Moondragon too. Although she was kind of cold fish, she was kind of mysterious. But yeah, she was like Shanae O'Connor, all bald. Like wow, okay,
yeah.
yeah, she was
She
definitely a
was,
different looking character.
yeah.
I
So
think she
you
made
know,
her first appearance in Iron Man.
it could
I
be. I
think I
just
haven't.
remember her from. She was in New Defenders.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I followed
So
Defenders and stuff like that with her,
yeah,
and she was in Avengers as well, like the Korvac saga, and
yep,
she
yep,
was the
yep,
only one. She was kind of like off to the side watching this happen, and
yeah.
and she's also from Titan, I think, where Thanos is from. There's somehow she's
See,
an
I don't
off.
even remember. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, yeah, linked up with the Guardians of the Galaxy and all that. Yeah. I think that was you had Days of Future Past, another great story, and the Dark Phoenix, over on X Men. But over on Avengers, you had the Korvac saga, which was awesome. You know, I was an
See,
Avengers guy.
yeah, I was Avengers and Defenders were the two books, team books I read. I was never into X Men. When I first started reading comics, X Men were the older version of the X Men.
Yeah. Okay.
Beast was just a big hairy guy, or a
Yeah.
short, big hairy guy.
Big feet and big hands. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, Cyclops, and I mean, so, and I think they were even just doing. They were like half the book was reprints
A
in the back of
reprint,
the
if
book.
not
Yeah,
all reprint. Yeah.
yeah, and so X Men never really. It was one that I bought, and then
Yeah.
I was probably well past even the Dark Phoenix saga before I ever picked up another X Men book.
Yeah.
So it was already like popular before I ever looked at it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember it from like before it
Well,
got
that
hot.
was like me picking up the old Marvel Super Action with the old Avengers, the old John Buscema, the old Don Hex stories. I like the Avengers. I bought it to learn more about them, but it was definitely different with Hercules and other characters in there.
Yeah,
And I didn't find it as exciting, but I did pick it up because I was an Avengers guy.
yeah. See, I
And,
came
and,
into
and
the Avengers
uh-huh.
with when Vision and Scarlet Witch started to like Vision was starting to have more human side to him, kind of like Spock, and
Right.
and the Scarlet Witch was, they started to met. So that was when I came into the Avengers.
That's
So
that that's a good
that was
analogy.
that's when
That's a
my
good
dynamic.
Yeah, that's a good parallel between Spock, sort of detached emotions, and Vision.
Yeah, I
That's
really liked
that's
the Vision back then. That the Vision was for a while was my favorite character.
really okay.
Yeah, yeah,
George Perez, what drew me into comics. I mean, just
yeah.
his art
Well,
style. And I
absolutely.
followed him over to DC when he went with
Yeah,
Marv Wolfman and did New Teen Titans. I mean,
yeah. Well, his Wonder Woman run is the Wonder Woman run as far as I'm
well,
concerned.
that's what
So
a lot of people say. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I actually found some of those some of his Wonder Woman in a box recently. I was like, oh, need to, glad I have those.
yeah,
Starting to really go up.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, like I said, I mean, I've been following Wonder Woman since I was not even. I was in elementary school. I was reading Wonder Woman, but
were you a fan
I
of
was,
Ross Andrew?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I liked, I liked the Huntress backup more than I liked Wonder Woman. So originally, I was buying the Wonder Woman book
yeah.
to get the Huntress backup.
Yeah, I mean, I bought the Flash because it had Firestorm backup story, it had Dr. Fate backup stories, and I
Yeah.
would buy it for the backup stories, and Flash would come along. And then after a while, I kind of got interested in Flash,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So backup stories really can help a book, can it?
Yeah.
Yeah, help sell the book to the reader, you know, if it's a character you're interested in. Um, and it might be, you know, there were certain artists I wasn't really early 80s. I really wasn't that excited about Carmen Infantino. Didn't realize he had been the editor over there at DC and went way back into comics, you know. I mean,
Right.
he drew Showcase #4, right? With the Flash and
Yeah.
helped Julius Schwartz start
Yeah.
the Silver Age. So it's like Gil Kane goes way back there, you know, or
Yeah.
Dick Ayers. I mean, Dick
Yeah.
Ayers was drawing Ghost Rider back in the 50s.
Yep.
And not the motorcycle rider,
No.
but the guy, the all white, all dressed in white,
Yeah. Yeah.
looked like a Ku Klux Klan man that kind of went bad, or and
Yeah. Rex
rode a. I
Fury.
think he rode a white horse as
He
well.
did. He did.
Yeah,
Rex Fury.
yeah. And then Marvel, like you said, it took it over. Right, was publishing it there for a little while in the early
Yeah.
'70s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess that was just prior to maybe Ghost Rider with a motorcycle coming
Yeah. Well,
too.
they decided westerns weren't selling, and
Hmm.
they pared down their westerns. They got rid of a lot of their westerns, and but they kept it. They liked that Ghost Rider name,
Yeah.
so they had somebody develop a new character to go under that Ghost Rider name.
Instead of a horse, we'll put him on a
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they trademarked the name Ghost Rider, and now Dick can't go sell his Ghost Rider to somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be frustrating for some of these old artists that watch
Well,
these new.
he ended up doing Haunted Horseman for AC Comics, and it's his Ghost Rider character.
Yeah. Is there a change in the way he drew it, the character?
They gave him a purple aura.
And that was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how they got away with it, but
Well, Marvel never owned the copyright on Ghost Rider.
yeah.
It wasn't developed for them. Wasn't developed for them. It wasn't work for hire.
Just the name.
Just the name. They trademarked the name.
Okay, but not the look of the Western
The
hero.
characters, yeah, exactly.
Now, Dick Ayers created the original Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
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 And was he, well, that's going back to,
Magazine Enterprises, ME.
okay, ME that did Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
Bunch of other stuff there. With Wally Wood and John Severin, Marie Severin, and all the EC comics, and then goes back to the congressional hearings in the 50s, and it just killed their business.
Well, the congressional hearings certainly killed, EC. Absolutely.
Really hurt comics in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it was like really, like Carl Barks doing Daffy Duck.
Yep.
For Dale. Dale kind of was always the good, and their comics were
Dell and Gold Key. Dell and Gold Key.
And Gold Key, yeah. Yeah, I mean Dale's, even they hold up pretty well, as far as the paper quality and stuff, even to this day. One of my favorite serials, old movie serials, is the Shazam or the Captain Marvel series, because I think that holds up really well. I'm thinking Tim Taylor played him, or am I mistaken on that?
It's Tim Taylor or Tyler or something like that. Yeah.
And he played the Mummy in one of the Mummy movies. Maybe the Mummy's ghost, and they animated his eyes out. They just black orbs. He looks very ominous in that. And he played a lot of Westerns, even in the silent era.
Hey,
I've been learning a little bit about him on Twitter because he has a site on Twitter, somebody that kind of focuses on his stuff, and I catch a little post about his career or something. And I learned recently he goes all the way back to the silent movies, and a lot of westerns. I mean, big 10-gallon hat, one of those big hats, big cowboy hats. I mean, in the early days, they weren't afraid to put the leading guy in this big sombrero looking thing. John Wayne never wore a hat like that I
no,
know of.
no,
When you took that,
not
when
even
you took,
Hoss Cartwright wore a hat like that.
yeah, his was kind of like that. Yeah.
But it
When
wasn't
you,
quite that big.
yeah, no, but when you take that off and you're going, howdy, ma'am, you better look out. You might knock somebody down with that thing. um, yeah, I created a female. You'll be excited about this. I created a female character not too long ago. I did a couple of preliminary drawings of her, all dressed in black and with one of those straight, sort of Mexican hats,
Oh, okay.
and it
Yeah,
has
yeah,
little
yeah.
white pom poms hanging off
Uh-huh.
of it.
Uh-huh.
Because sometimes
Uh-huh.
they were decorated around the edge.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what style that hat is, but Luke Stone in the house. Hey, Luke, how's it going? Uh, but yeah, I was excited to come up with a new female character because I don't come up with a lot of female characters, Paul.
Yeah, well,
And
that's all I do come up with. So
that's all you come up with. Yeah, well, that's
yeah.
good. That's good. Now, how do you create your new character? I mean, if you've got a concept for a new character, you just write it and you find the right artist and have them kind of go by your dictates, or how do you do it?
Um, I usually I can do a little bit of art myself,
Right?
especially like digitally and 3D rendering.
Okay.
So I can usually create what I want the character to look like, so that it's not the artist deciding. It's like this is the character. This is what the character looks like. And
Yeah.
but I write the story, and I usually write full script, so I can tell them, camera placement and stuff. A lot of times the artists ignore me, and they're
Yeah.
usually got a better idea.
Well,
But
the
I
thing
mean,
of
but
it
they'll
is,
run it by me. They run it by me and say, hey, I think we should do this. I mean, my first story, I wrote a page that couldn't be done.
okay.
I mean, the artist is like, you got three different things happening in the same panel. They can't all happen in the same panel.
Yeah.
So you learn as you go, and
Well, I can write anything.
yeah,
Your imagination's the limit, but you have to find a competent artist that can depict that
yeah,
in an
no,
exciting way.
yeah, and so yeah,
So
yeah,
Conan goes to this giant temple that has 2,000 steps leading up to they've got to be able to draw that, you know.
yeah. But what they can't draw is Conan goes to the temple that has 2,000 steps, and he walks up the steps. That's panel one.
Panel one, they're going, he wants me to pull my hair out like he did. Yeah, I mean, you have to be cognizant of what the artist is capable of.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
draws the gun and fires it, and you see the bullet go through.
Well, that was the interesting thing to a lot of the original Star Trek writers on the original series did the filmation animated, and they could depict in animation like this ship 2 miles long. They couldn't have done that back in the 60s, or it'd been very difficult and
Oh
costly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, but in animation, they can just do a little, pull back and show a ship that's 2 miles long, and
Yeah.
It really depends on what medium you're working in, and in
Right,
comics, it's like,
right. You. But look, I mean, the artists I've worked with are talented. Usually if they're suggesting a change, it's my mistake, not because they can't do it.
mhm.
You know.
Luke says, I'm dealing with this on a book right now. The writer sent me a 94-page book, but the panel descriptions have multiple actions, like you said. So it's going to be more like 160 pages. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You can
yeah,
put too much.
yeah,
Scene one,
yeah.
2,000 steps
Yeah.
leading
So,
up.
but you get comfortable with an artist,
Yeah.
and you say, look, I need 3 pages of a fight or 2 pages of a fight, yeah, a knockdown, drag out. They're going back and forth,
Hmm.
and then you let them figure out how to do it on 2 pages.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
It's really kind of feel your way with different artists, right? Because
yeah,
there's certain artists that work a certain way, and then there's certain artists that like a little bit more freedom. You know, some artists like to work from a script. I know my friend that lives over here. He's like my neighbor, a couple blocks away, city blocks away or less. Um, uh, Known him since 1982, and he's done a lot of work, graphic and for the university and stuff like that. Attended the university here, and then actually went back and got his master's there as well. Right after I didn't graduate, but left the university. And he says, I like, after he got Devil Flyer done, he said, I like to work from a script. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me that originally? I would have given you a script. I did give him storyboards, and he pretty much went by those. But um, I tried the Stan Lee method on that story. But you know what? If the mouth's not open, I don't put dialogue in it, Luke, Paul.
I, you know,
And then,
which is why, if there's a fight going on or somebody's running or something, I don't have like a monologue happening. It's
and
like
Dan,
they're,
Dan,
they're, the most I've got is like because they're
Dan,
tired and out of breath.
Dan Lawless was on the other day when I had Steve Rude and Mike Barron on, and he came in and he was saying, I placed the dialogue balloons first in the panel.
Yeah. Well, and
That's unusual to me.
as a writer, I'm giving them what's going to be in the dialogue balloon and who's saying it,
Uh
so
huh.
that they know when they're laying out the panel who has to come first, who's on the left side of the panel and who's on the right side of the panel, and
Hmm.
how much space do they need to leave
Yeah.
for that person's dialogue.
Hmm.
How much space do they need to leave for this person's dialogue? So when they're figuring out the panel, they have to keep into account there's this much dialogue in this panel.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you end up with a cluttered panel that can't have any of your dialogue in it.
And I have seen this in Marvel books, and it's not very good. Very rarely, okay, but dialogue over the character's head. You know, like maybe there's more than one character in the panel, and they had to put the dialogue over another character's head. That's not good.
No,
You know,
no.
yeah. Somebody didn't think
Yeah.
that through.
You want
Uh,
somebody, you would like people to read the balloons in the order that you want them to read.
yeah,
If you
you
want to,
you want to go from left to right and down the page,
yeah,
because that's the way we read in the Western world. If it was
yeah,
Hebrew, we go from
you go
right
the
to
other
left.
way.
It'd be
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, Luke Stone says, I love it when the writer gives me the scene they want to play out on the page or pages, and I just draw it.
yeah,
Um, if you tell me they are talking, I crack those lips. Laugh out loud.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, and especially if you have a fight scene or you have a strenuous action scene, it's easier to just tell the writer, this is what I need to have. This is where you're starting, and this is where you're ending. And
Yeah.
you need to get, you need to get there in 2 pages or 3 pages.
Uh,
And it's okay if you don't have a lot of dialogue because they're not going to be talking if they're
right.
fighting. I
Maybe
mean,
a grunt, maybe a
a grunt,
grunt or a
exactly.
sound effect
You can
every
fit
now
that. You
and
can
then.
fit that in. You can fit that
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
But you can't have a monologue going on.
You're
You
right.
know. So
Unless it's Spider-Man, then he smack talks you the whole time.
yeah. Well,
And while he's doing that, there's thought balloons. I got to get back to Aunt May. She ain't got her blood pressure
yeah.
medicine.
He's talking while he's thinking about something else. Yeah.
Right. And he often gets in trouble because of that, because he's not paying attention. That's like texting and driving. That's one thing I haven't mastered and try not to do because I'll run off the road and it's against the law anyway. Um, yeah, I mean, one thing that I do is storyboards, thumbnails, and I think very cinematically, like you were saying, different upshot, downshot,
Yeah.
turn around shot,
That's the
whatever.
kind of thing. That's my scripts will often say. This is word's
Mhm.
eye view, or yeah. Yeah.
And then you just go, okay, here it is, and you just kind of go over it with the artist. Is that how you do it?
They'll usually thumbnail it out, and I'll say,
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna work.
Okay. So show you roughs.
Yeah, they'll show me a rough.
Yeah. Yeah. In the internet great, it kind of brings people together where you can kind of like go on a stream like this if they have the
Yeah,
setup and go, yeah, I've got page 6 here. You want to see it? And
yeah.
makes
Oh
things a
yeah.
lot easier, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, with digital, I mean, it's like I said, I have a little bit of ability to do artwork and a few art programs that I can mess with. So if I need an art change that's easy to make, I
Yeah.
can show on the rough. I want it to look more like this, and send that right back to them. You know,
You
because you have you
mentioned
have you
some.
have Google Drive. You can share documents on Google Drive and
Yeah.
just go back and forth. It's great.
Who do you think out of all the great creators that you've met that you were the most enamored with? And don't say the sexy girl that was on TV. Hmm.
Most enamored with.
That you were kind of enamored with. It's like I was kind of enamored when I met Stan Lee. I was like, whoa, or like Adam West. That was a big whoa. Were you just kind of
It
all
was.
fanboy?
I mean, Steranko.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. He had good hair, didn't he?
Yeah, yes, it does. He has great hair.
He's still got good hair. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah. I mean, I got to meet Tanya Roberts once. I was enamored with her.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Brad Gorby, who nobody knows, but
Yeah.
he's one of the best good girl artists of the 1980s, 1990s.
I have some Gorby artwork. He worked for AC, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to say I'm enamored with. I was enamored with him, but I
Uh,
really was a huge, huge fan of his, and still
yeah.
am. In fact, he did a pinup for this book, and it's fabulous.
Well, I'm hoping to, do a book that shows some of that unpublished. I might even have unpublished Gorby stuff in there. That's what I like, the unpublished
Yeah,
to get my hands on when I can, because it's never been
yeah,
published. It's like, wow, you kind of get a sneak peek, behind the curtain. Um,
yeah.
always interesting to see what would have been, because I thought with that with the Shade character that Bill Black's cover that he did, which was basically a close up of his face and him going ah, was a better would have been a better cover than what they used, in my opinion. Um, I'm going to bring up your campaign here, Paul.
This is the one on Fund My Comic, I think.
On Fund My Comic, right?
Yeah,
And this is now this launched. When did this launch, Paul?
This launched
1 month ago.
About a month ago.
About
Yeah.
a month ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's watch your trailer real quick while you look that up.
That's an older trailer too. So the Indiegogo campaign is a little bit newer.
Okay. I'm gonna chop this bad boy up on Choppy Ass Theater. Hey, I know that side, he says. Boom.
This intro I did not create.
Well, that's cool.
But I did the. This was an early. This was before I added the 5th story to the book. So.
Okay. Oh, this has a very painterly feel to it. I like it.
Yeah, that's Rudy Deborah's pencils and Ed Coots painted over it.
Wow. Okay. Well, you got all the good TNA shots in there, Paul.
I tried to.
I bet you did. Forget Playboy, Hustler, or Penthouse. Just give me my stack of comics. Now that said 4 stories. Has that changed?
I added a story.
Okay.
After I did this video, because I did this video months and months ago, and then I added another story. So I did a new promo video, and I hadn't put it up yet when I launched the GoFundMe or the Fund My Comic. So it's linked to the old video, but I'm trying to change it. But
and that's Rudy Nebreeze right there painted over.
Now this is me. I actually made that image at the end there.
Oh, at the image? Wait a minute.
That end image was I did that in this image here. I did in Pose.
Yeah, this woman right here. Oh, you did this.
Yeah, that's me. I did that one in Pose.
Okay, that's good stuff. Look at that glistening skin. So the one at the beginning.
The one at the beginning.
You said that was
Rudy Nebreeze painted over. Yep.
Okay. I like that part. Whoever did that for you did you a flavor. I like that.
Yeah.
Now what is the site here?
Voom online. You can buy some of them. You can buy some of my stories as digital versions.
Okay. All right.
For like $1 or $2 or $3, depending on the story.
Oh, cool!
And,
I might have to go over there.
Not all of them are up there, but some of them I have like a PDF you can buy.
Okay, and, I'll have to check that out. I'd like to read.
Yeah, it's got all my different characters on it and stuff. But yeah, this is
Rudy. So that's his right there.
This is Rudy, and then Ed painted over Rudy's pencils. So Rudy's pencils are the under drawing, and then Ed painted it based on.
Now, was that a scan, or did he actually paint over his original?
No, he. I don't know if he light boxed them onto a canvas or what.
Okay.
But he did not paint.
Yeah,
I would. He didn't paint over the originals. He kept.
Here's me trying to paint the original.
Yeah,
get close to it and start shaking. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to mess this up.
In fact, I think Ed kept the original. I think. So,
yeah. So, which launched first, over on Fund My Comic, or
Fund My Comic launched first?
Okay.
Because I had some things I wanted to take care of, and I knew that I was going to run Fund My Comic as kind of a continuous store.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's I have no intention of like taking that down necessarily.
Yeah. There's no end date on continuous
There's yeah,
campaign. That's one of the
yeah,
good things over on Fund My Comic.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so on Indiegogo, I'm running it as a 30. I'll add 30. Then I'll
Yeah.
probably put it in demand, but at some point I'll take it off in demand in Indiegogo. Probably when I have something else ready to go on Indiegogo. But you'll
Yeah.
still be able to get it on Fund My Comic if you missed it on Indiegogo. So um, that's kind
And
of
you
my
say
plan.
over on Indiegogo, it has an exclusive drawing you can get or something?
On Indiegogo, there's a tier. There's actually two tiers. You can get it with a pencil drawing on the inside back cover by Ed Coots, or an ink drawing on the inside back cover by Ed Coots. So
Okay.
inside the book, it'll have an original drawing. So that's one of those, and it's only $75 for the pencil and the book. So you get the book and a pencil drawing in the book for 75, or 100 for an ink drawing in the book. So
Okay.
only
I'm going to
25
bring up
bucks.
the Indiegogo as well. Does it have the same trailer?
Its trailer's slightly different. It's a little
Slightly
quicker,
different.
and it doesn't have
Okay.
the um, the intro part, the
Okay.
promo part,
Well, I like
and
that part.
it's got different music.
Okay. We'll try that one out. So over there on Fund My Comic, you had 4 backers in the past month. We need to get that up there. I didn't
Yeah,
realize this was out here. Um,
yeah. We
and
got 7 on Indiegogo, but only 9 days, and I just started promoting it basically tonight. So
okay, is this the second 30 days or the first?
this is the first.
Okay, whew, good. All right, gosh, this is a dichotomy. Which to help you out the most on? I guess you need more help on Indiegogo because they do have a limit of time as
Yeah,
the other one on Fund My Comic does.
yeah. I'd
But
prefer people who are backing now back on Indiegogo, and then
yeah,
if later on if they want to get it, they can still get it through Fund My Comic.
yeah, and like you said, there was a couple exclusives. Ooh, look
Yeah,
at that.
yeah. That's the Brad Gorby painting. That's a pinup in the book.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know I've got some Gorby in there. This, by getting stuff from Bill Black was my first exposure to what'd you call his name? Hinky? What's his
Heike,
name?
Mark Heike.
Mark Heike and Gorby work.
Yeah,
Woo.
that's Nebris. That hanging from the cliff. That was one of his panels he penciled.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
The one above. No, the one above that. Yeah, that one. Yep.
Yeah, the one above right
Yeah.
there. Mhm.
Yep. That was Rudy.
Okay.
This is Bobby Ragland. He's a penciler who's done some work for FemForce.
Uh, that
This
lower
is
lips looks a little, looks almost like she's sticking her tongue out. I like the
well,
gator coming up behind her.
yeah, yeah. This is Rob Jones. This story's called Predator and Prey.
Mm. Has she got organs?
She does. She's just
Okay. All right.
water distorts things. So that's
Uh,
Ed's painted cover, which has got a more
okay.
pulp Doc Savage feel to it. You know those
Now
old
you
James.
you cite Bill Black, AC Comics. What did he have to do in this project?
Go down one more.
One more. Is that it?
No, one more. This one
This
coming
one
up.
with that
That one.
elephant.
That's Bill.
Oh,
Bill Black drew that. I mean, the coloring was done by somebody else, but he did the illustration
and inked it.
and inked it. Yep,
Drew and inked it. Yeah.
drew and inked.
Who did your logo?
Ed Coots.
Okay. She's got a spear, but I see that revolver cocked and ready to blow her head off.
Yeah,
Or a good portion of it. Yeah.
it's funny. So I asked Bill if he would, I wanted to pay him to draw a cover.
Uh-huh.
And he said, sure. And he all of a sudden I get this, this ink drawing from him.
Uh-huh.
And, I'm like super excited, but I don't have any stories that have her facing off against an elephant with the guy getting ready to shoot a gun at
Yeah.
her in the book. So I'm like, well, I don't want to be one of those books where the cover shows something that doesn't happen on the inside.
Right.
So that's why I had to write the fifth story.
Okay.
So that there was a scene where she was picked up by an elephant and there was a gun pointing. I mean,
Yeah.
now
Well, I'm actually doing what I call a preview cover on my next book coming out. And that'll hopefully, cross your fingers, will be a glow in the dark Dan Lawless cover.
Oh wow.
And the character that he would be doing on the cover is not in the book. I mean, I guess I could put a pin up and get him in the book.
It's
but
up to,
why not have a preview cover?
Call
it a preview cover.
I've had too many people give me guff for stuff that was on the cover that didn't actually happen that way in the book. So, like, I wrote, my first story was for FemForce issue 119. The cover's got Rio Rita and Miss Mask tied to chairs while a bad guy chloroforms the Blue Bulleteer.
Okay.
Well, in the book, the Blue Bulleteer doesn't get chloroformed, but chloroform is in the book.
Uh-huh.
And there's never a point where Miss Mask is in costume tied to a chair. It's actually the Blue Bulleteer and Rio Rita who are tied to chairs. And I had people saying, well, the scene on the cover is not in the book, but the stuff in the book is great, but the cover didn't match the scene in the book.
Yeah. So you think that's a problem?
I thought I did okay.
Well, if Spider-Man is kissing Mary
across,
if Spider-Man's kissing Mary Jane and that doesn't happen in the book, does that make it a bad cover?
Well, it's not a bad cover because people love that cover.
Right.
It's actually one of the rarest,
you just
most
think
hard
it
to
should
find books. But in my mind, after that, I was like, you know what? I can write another story.
Yeah.
And I actually did it. Let's just say that the cover matches what's happening in the story, but it's not exactly what you think is going on.
All right. Let's take a look at your Indiegogo trailer on this one. I'm curious to see what you have on this one. There's that wonderful Bill Black artwork. Definitely different music. There you go. You got the WW W va 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 Voom side in there. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool
So
stuff. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I'm not trained in any way in video editing or creation or production. So
Yeah. That,
it ain't perfect, but I think it gets the point across.
that was a great image at the end of it though, bro. It was good. So we have like tantalizing adventures, both covers. Uh is the featured tier.
Yeah, and that's for 40, so it's a 20% savings if you get. I never understood asking for twice the
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
for the same book.
Yeah.
So, but I do have to, it's a little more. I don't know. It's like, well, you get a big discount on the second book, basically.
Exactly. And
So,
yeah.
so it's 40 for both. It's 25 for each cover individually,
Okay. So
and
here's cover A maybe,
that's cover A. Yeah,
and then the Bill Black would be like cover
cover
B,
B.
right?
Yeah, but cover B is knocking the shit out of cover A right now. So
Yeah.
a lot more people want Bill's cover, but
Well,
it's mostly AC Comics fans who have backed it so far.
yeah.
Because, like I
I'm
said,
glad.
I haven't
I'm
really been
glad.
promoting it yet.
It
So
seems apropos that he got the B cover,
yeah,
being called
the
Bill
black cover,
Black. You
the
know, he's
black
always
cover.
into
Exactly.
B's. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually was thinking of that. So
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It is knocking it out. You know, the park.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Um,
one
then
for
we
both
have
and six for Bill's, and then you
what's
can
this?
get. So this is the painted cover. This is Ed's cover and a sketch by Ed in the back of the book.
Okay.
And then down below is inked. The same basic thing. Ed's
Okay.
cover and
So
an
75
ink drawing.
uninked and or 75 with inked. Okay.
75 pence sold and 100 inked.
And 100 inked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And if
If
we get, there's some stretch goals. If we get there, I'm not
right.
like, I'm not counting on it, but if we did, it's great. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool. Very cool. And she's quite bare breasted there. I mean,
it's close.
yeah, it's close. Yeah. It's
I
not
told
everybody that scores a Bill Black cover though, you know?
no, it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
not even FemForce gets Bill Black covers all the time. But um, but yeah, the cover by Ed, that painted cover, I told him I wanted something. Do you remember those old Doc Savage paperbacks that had the covers by James Bama?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
That's was I was like, I wanted to feel like that, but with her. So
Now,
that was kind of where he was going with that, with the ripped shirt and the
yeah. Well, like this girl here, she kind of has Tomb Raider vibes, you know?
yeah, but it's jungle too. I mean,
Yeah.
she's
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you got the leopard or the jaguar getting ready to attack from behind, and it's at night in a twisted jungle with rocks. And
Now, how long have you been creating your own characters? Is this more of a recent thing or
I started about 20 20 years ago, I guess.
okay?
um Annalena was one of the ones that I created.
Okay.
um and the Ace is my superhero and character. I created her back then.
Have they previously been in other books or this like first
i
appearances in your book here?
I some of the Yes, I did a book that sells on Indie Planet called Va 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 Voom.
Okay.
So if you went to indieplanet.com and put in Va 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 Voom, you'd see.
Okay.
it's got the Rudy Nebres Alina story in black and white in it, so it's uncolored. And I got it lettered by a professional. I had lettered it. It's lettered by a real pro this time.
Yeah.
And but so all my characters, pretty much all my characters, 5 out of the 7 characters, 6 out of the 7 characters, 8 characters,
Yeah.
have stories in those 3 issues of that book.
Okay.
So I've done stories with. I have this time traveling detective um, that had a story, 24-page stories, 8 pages in each of the 3 books.
That's interesting. So they can go on .com or
You
whatever
can
the
go on
site was.
vavavavoomonline.com and you can buy The Smoke and Mirrors is the name of the story with her.
Okay.
And it's colored. I had it colored
Okay.
since then. Although it's not fully colored because it's time traveling. So
I found that to be the most daunting thing working with colorists.
yeah, it depends. I mean,
Yeah.
some do a better job than others, and some see things differently than you do. I mean, but
Right.
um, I really only started dealing with colorists in the last year
Yeah. Yeah.
because I published in black and white
In black and white. Yeah.
15 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
So, I didn't really have to worry about colorists until
I
now.
think
So,
there's an advantage to that. I mean, I like Dan Pleagle's Goblin Girl. He has a black and white sort of grayscale
yeah,
version, and then he has a color version, and I can't really decide. I like them both.
that's an AC for a long time published in black and white. I mean, they were in color, then they were in black and
Mhm.
white, then they were in color, then they were black and white. They're back in color again.
Yeah.
Um, their best years, in my opinion, they were in black and white.
Yeah.
The stories were, the stories and art looked fabulous even without color.
Well, the like Captain Paragon and all like those were colored very nicely. They were doing some things in
Yeah,
color that Marvel and DC
yeah,
wasn't doing at the
yeah.
time.
But as
You know, and
the
that's
industry went up and down,
yeah,
the price for doing things, it's like, okay, well, we can't afford color now. So
right,
let's just
right,
print it in black and white so we can continue to survive in the industry. Oh,
hmm
now we can afford color.
right,
Let's, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
so, but those books on Indie Planet, they're in black and white. And some of them are gray toned and, they're grayscale.
yeah. Well,
But
I've had a lot of people say, I don't know. I think people are drawn to color. That kind of be the bar to reach.
yeah,
Something fabulously colored. But I've hear a lot of people. I like black and white. I like to see, and you do lose a lot of detail sometimes once something's colored.
it's tough. And so my superhero character, one of the inkers, because I've got 2 people inking it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of them used to ink for AC when they were in black and white. And inking a black and white book, you have to do things a lot differently to get it to stand out and be 3 dimensional. And,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if he used that inking style and had it colored, it would just get lost. The colors would overpower the
Mm-hmm.
inks. So he's having to draw back a little bit so that the colorist can add some of the gradations and light sources and stuff like that. Because now it's all that stuff happens in the coloring. I mean, other than line weight, maybe to determine what direction the shadows are coming from,
Yeah.
it's the colorist who's deciding how dark to make things and how light to make things. So
On a scale, now you're a little biased on this probably, but on a scale 1 to 10, how great an inker is Bill Black? Or, I mean, obviously
I,
he's
I
more than
think,
an inker.
yeah, I think
You
Bill's.
better say 10. He may see this.
No, I mean, Bill's probably a 7, a 6 or a 7. As
Okay.
an
Okay.
Um, Mark Heike
Yeah.
is probably a 7 or an 8. I mean, I
Okay.
think Bill would tell you that Mark's a little bit better than he is.
Yeah.
But
And he's not.
there are anchors who are like Alfredo Alcala is a 10.
How old
you
is
know,
hockey?
well,
How old is
Heike's
hockey?
probably our age, maybe a little older,
Okay. How
maybe
about
early
Gorby?
60s. Gorby's probably early 60s as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I always think of Brad as being a little bit older than me,
Yeah.
but I might be wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the anchors for Marvel, or one of the artists for Marvel now, is Chris Allen, and Chris, the very first comic book convention I ever went to, when I actually met Bill Black and Mark Heike, I met Chris Allen. He was like 18 years old, and he did a drawing for me of Sin is one of the Femforce characters, Synn.
Right.
He did a drawing. He did a pencil drawing of Sin for me.
Sin, LSD.
Sin, the girl from LSD, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he did a drawing of her. He was like 18. I saw on Facebook the other day he's working for Marvel. This is 30, well, hell, that was 90. That was
This might.
98, 97.
I get a Roger Corbin vibe from Bill Black. Like people go over to work at AC Comics or Paragon, and then they go on, a good
Oh,
training
yeah.
ground for working in comics and learning the basics, and then they kind of go, or the Joe
Well,
Kubert school.
that's what, I mean, so many people have worked for Bill Black that you don't even realize worked for AC Comics.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it was,
Bob McLeod, you were saying.
they used it, a
Yeah.
lot of them. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of them used it to be able to show a major publisher that they could meet a deadline
Mm-hmm.
and do publishable work.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
a lot of people, Eric Larson got his start at AC Comics. It was one of the first 2 publishers he ever did an assignment for.
Wow. Okay.
He penciled books. His stuff, not the greatest,
Right.
but it was good enough
Yeah.
to get his foot in the door into the industry because
Yeah.
he made the deadline. He got his,
I guess
he
he
got
went
his
from
pencils in on
AC
time.
Comics over to Megaton Comics, right?
They were right around the same time.
Okay.
That's how. Those were the 2 that he. That were his. And then you've got
With
Paul Ryan, who ended up on Captain America. He did work for AC Comics.
Okay, yeah, he had a good run on.
Yeah,
Now he did a bunch of Fantastic Four as well.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
Rick Levins. Rick Levins ended up working for Marvel. He started out working for AC Comics.
Okay, now what did Rick do over there? Remind me.
Now, see, I can't remember because I wasn't really reading Marvel at that time.
Okay, all right.
But I know he worked for them.
Yeah.
So Bill Merriman, he did work for AC Comics. He worked for Marvel. And again, I can't remember the book, but
And
I
you
know
said Bob McLeod, and that was probably back in the 70s.
McLeod, I think, worked with Bill in Paragon days.
Okay.
And was already starting to break into comics. So he wasn't really he wasn't doing it for the exposure. He was already sort of legit by the time he, like when he was with Paragon, it was like I said, these were prozines. So
yeah, very early on. Well, now he, as an anchor, Bob McLeod, he went back a lot further than what I thought he did. But before he really when he caught the attention of people, is creation of the New Mutants graphic novel.
Yeah.
That's
I have a book by Bob McLeod. I guarantee you probably don't have.
I don't know, man. Challenge me, man.
It's called Superhero ABCs. It's a children's book that has superheroes, and the superheroes' names correspond to the letter in the alphabet. And it teaches them words too, like Amazing Man. He's awesome.
But I mean, okay, so I might be getting this mixed up with another comic I have, because somebody
This is
actually
a
put out
hardcover
an
book.
huh?
This is a hardcover children's book.
Okay, I don't have that one, but I know that there was an independent publisher. They actually trademarked the letter A, B, all the way to Z, and had a character for each. I
Well,
am character A. I am character 26 characters. That was kind of bizarre, independent. But
yeah.
yeah, a children's book. Wow, went about 70s when he came out
No,
with
this was 2000,
that. Okay.
probably 2002, maybe, or maybe
Yeah.
1998,
Yeah.
99, somewhere in that, right around the turn of the millennium or whatever,
Okay.
that he did this book.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was an interesting, nice guy, when
He's
I
a
met
super
him in
nice
83.
guy.
Very
Super
nice.
nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, super nice. Yeah.
I mean, all the people I've met through AC Comics have been super nice guys.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, it's.
What type of
I mean,
personality is
I've met a few artists who stole money from me
you're right.
to do
Yeah.
artwork and then never did it.
That's
But
that's never a good feel.
that's never been a problem with
Yeah.
anybody I got that has been an AC person.
Yeah. Now how is Bill Black? Is he an outgoing type
Oh,
personality?
super. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He loves to talk. He loves to tell stories. He's
Okay.
got lots of them.
Yeah.
Um,
He
yeah,
seems like he seems like a 50s kid in a man's body. He
yeah,
loves his pop culture. He loves what he
yes,
grew up on.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, his era. Yeah,
His era. Yeah.
yeah,
Which was slightly
and
before your
it's slightly
ours.
before mine and
Yeah.
yours. Yes, I mean, and
Yeah.
he's dedicated to it and dedicated to like
Boy, he is
keeping it
dedicated to it,
alive and
isn't he?
letting people know what it was like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, I'm glad he even reached back further before he was even born and got a bunch of that golden era
yeah.
stuff. And like you said, over 100 issues of that alone. Do you know if that's still being published, or was it stopped?
I
He,
don't know.
and I think he might
Let
have done
me,
some
you know what?
specials.
Let me give me a second, and
Okay.
I'll have a better idea to be able to tell you.
Okay.
Um,
Because and some of those are thick volumes, and they're hard to find. Some of them easier than others. But I've tried to get a whole collection of those things, and I've done pretty well. Some I bought from Bill, and some I have multiple copies of. Mainly the early ones, I think, but as
yeah.
runs go along, they sell less and less, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't think they're selling
The Golden Age.
the Golden Age stuff anymore. They have
Okay.
2 books out now that I think do reprint some of the Golden Age stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One's called Cauldron of Horror, and I think
Okay.
it reprints the Golden Age like horror books.
Yeah, like the pre-code books that are
In
so hard to
fact,
get.
yeah, in fact, the
Mm-hmm.
issue number 2 of that has a Pat Broderick cover.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Pat Broderick's got
it's
a
a new
bizarre
cover.
Western with Mike
Yeah,
Barron over there
yeah,
on
I
Find My
know.
Comic Now,
Yes, yes, he
Bronze
does.
Star.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I've got on my, which I contributed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's issue number 2 of that. They've started up, but they have a new cover by Pat Broderick. That's the cover of that book.
Pat's really good. He's
and
really
then,
he did Captain Atom for a long time for DC Comics.
yeah, and then they've got another book that looks like it's probably Golden Age reprints, and it's called Heroin Heaven.
Now, is that a website you're looking at? AC
website? I'm at Midtown Comics looking at my pull list.
Oh, okay.
And looking at all the AC Comics titles that
you could probably show me some stuff with AC Comics. I'm sure you're a big AC fan. When did you become an AC fan?
1985.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I
So
was in.
you missed some of the AC, like Captain
Well,
Paragon and the
I,
Signals
I
of
got
Liberty
it.
and
I got it in the back issue bins back then. Because
yeah,
once I found it, I went looking for all their stuff.
yeah.
But um, yeah, I walked into a little basement comic book shop in Bloomington, Indiana, and it must have been March or April of 1985,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And the first three issues of FemForce were in a row and on one of the, you know, shelves.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I've never seen a book like this before.
Yeah.
And I
Well, you
picked
didn't
all,
read X-Men. X-Men had an all-woman's team there for a little while
well,
in the 80s.
well, I picked up all three issues,
Yeah.
and then I never stopped picking them up. But sometimes Diamond would screw up, and I have to go searching to try to find the issue.
Uh-huh.
Or a flood would happen, and a bunch of issues would get destroyed, and they wouldn't. They'd only, my order wouldn't even come through, and they couldn't get it back ordered. And so
Right.
I've over the years I've managed to get all the ones that I didn't get through normal channels. I've managed to get them except for two, um, back in the like 150s, 160s, uh, in terms of issue numbers.
Uh-huh.
And but I've checked everywhere online to see if one was available, and I've never
Hold
found
on to those Film
it.
Force, which I'm sure you will, because I'm sure some of those are extremely. I mean, I don't know the low
Yeah,
print, the print runs on those, but pretty. They're just pretty hard to find. I mean,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
under a lot of people's radars, but
Well, and some of the ones I've got, I got signed copies and stuff like that too.
I
So
know Eric and Boyd said that he sold his Film Forces years ago, and he wished he
yeah,
had because
I was talking to him. I was talking to him the other night, and he mentioned that.
yeah,
Um,
they're hard to find. He can't find them anymore. He can't get copies.
yeah,
Uh,
no,
yeah,
you can't. Yeah,
yeah,
I
like and you never know. I mean, Hall of Heroes had Ethan Van Sciver doing Cyberfrog. That'll never become
yeah,
anything. And now look at it. Or Tim Vigil. Tim Vigil's off the chain.
hey,
He's done a lot of
Tim.
things now. And he was doing grips for like Greater Mercury and Silver Wolf. I buy those up when I find them. They're very low print run.
Well, you asked me earlier about artists that I was kind of enamored with, and I mean, I was never super into Tim Vigil's art,
Right.
but I met him at shows over the years
Uh,
and got to hang out with him. And I mean, he's a really good dude.
yeah.
And he's done some art for me, and
I've not met
I
him, but I've
love
been
it.
on a panel briefly with his brother Joe Vigil.
Yeah. See, I've never
Uh,
met Joe, but
yeah,
Tim actually has 20 years ago gave me advice on my book,
yeah,
and critiqued my book in a nice way, in a
yeah,
constructive way. Critiqued my stories, critiqued my lettering. I was like, man, I know I'm not a good letterer.
right,
He's like, well, this is
yeah.
how you can get better,
Good
And
lettering can kill a book.
yeah, we would hang out, hotel room hangouts and go to Hooters and stuff like that and hang out. And
How dare you?
yeah, so he's I mean, I'm a Tim Vigil fan, and like I said, I've never, I don't know if I've even owned a copy of Faust, but I do. I mean, I just like him as a person, and I like his
Right.
art.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those artists that keeps leveling up. He's kept at it long enough. You've probably been to a lot of conventions, haven't you?
Not so much in the last 5 to 6 years, but for a while, two or three a year, probably.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay. Is it
yeah.
about meeting the creators for you or just getting the exposure of your stuff out? I mean, I don't know.
Um,
Did you have a table at all?
some of the shows I had a table because I'd be with Ed
Uh-huh.
in Artist Alley,
Okay.
and we'd sell books and he'd sell art, and the
Uh-huh.
books we were selling for $5 a pop. I
Yeah.
wasn't even going to make back my table cost.
Your
Plus,
table fee.
plus I was spending money because I was getting sketches from 25 people at the show.
Uh-huh.
So, but Ed would make money, because he was selling
Yeah.
sketches, and commissions and things
It's a
like
pretty
that.
wild concept
And
if you think about it. Artists go to these conventions and they're allowed by the companies to draw Batman, Superman,
it's
Wolverine.
it's
They're allowed to draw
there
characters and
there
make money off characters they don't own.
yeah, it's so if the companies wanted to crack down,
Yeah,
they could.
they could. Yeah,
So they know what's going on,
right. And have for
and
decades.
and they're just, it's like, okay, well, it's not worth the bad press
Yeah,
to crack down.
yeah.
In this
It-
instance, it's
uh-huh.
just not worth it. But if you really did something that was going to harm their IP, they would stop you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is kind of, strange. A lot of times, say it's an artist who's worked for DC and they're drawing DC characters.
Mhm.
DC almost kind of wants that to happen.
Quickest artist now it's different. I mean, it's
They don't
not
really
like
like the print sales. They don't like
yeah,
when you're selling prints. But if you're selling original art, they have much less of a problem with it.
right. Yeah. Because really it's their property.
Yeah.
And I think they like an inker gets a certain portion and an
Yeah.
artist gets a certain portion.
Mm-hmm.
So John Byrne has certain X-Men pages and Terry Austin has certain.
Well, and they get but I'm not even talking about selling the pages they've done for the show. I'm like,
Oh,
if George Perez is at a show and he's selling commissions for $100,
right.
head sketches for $100
Uh-huh.
of Wonder Woman. You asked for Wonder Woman.
Right.
DC's not going to piss George Perez off and tell him he can't draw Wonder Woman at his show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality.
Yeah.
So, if it's original art. Now, if you've got somebody unknown who's selling prints of Wonder Woman engaged in a sex act with Catwoman
Yeah.
on the internet, and they sell them online,
Yeah, they're going to crack
they're
down
going
on
to crack
that.
down on that.
Protect their copyright, their
Exactly.
trademark, or whatever
Yeah.
they have. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
And that's understandable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's how most of the companies approach it. They, because there's representatives from the companies at most of these shows. They know what's there.
And there's a few talent scouts too, aren't
Absolutely.
there?
Absolutely. So no, I've gone to shows where I've just walked around and bought, original drawings from people, or bought prints from people, or bought sketches from people, or just got to know them and talk to them. And I've been to shows where I've been behind the table and I'm taking the money for Ed and putting people's name down on his list to draw stuff for them. So, I mean,
besides the artists that you mentioned, what are some of the friendliest guys you've met?
Dave Hoover was super nice.
Yeah. Now Hoover did some work
Captain
for
America
AC Comics, right?
Hoover, and I don't think he ever worked for AC, but he worked for Marvel. He did Captain America for Marvel.
Okay.
And he did Jungle Girl stuff.
Yeah.
But he was really a super nice guy. I liked him. I was really sad when he was going to draw my superheroine character for my book, and he passed away before he could.
Yeah.
And then
how old was he? Was he in his 70s?
No, he was young. He was fairly young. He was again. He maybe a couple years older than me, or right at my age.
Okay.
Who else is super nice? Yeah, a lot of the older guys before they passed away were super nice because they just liked it when anybody even knew who they were, really. You
Right.
know, and because I'd been reading AC Comics reprint books, I would actually know who they were and stuff they worked on.
Hmm.
I had Erwin Hoshin draw me a Kitten sketch because he
Uh,
created Kitten back
right.
in Catman and Kitten.
Yeah.
He created Kitten, so
Wow.
he was like he didn't think anybody even knew that.
Devil Flyer was uh, Kitten and Catman were on the cover that Devil Flyer was on. They had a Indiegogo um, on Tribulation Task Force. And they had
Oh,
a great little tier where you could. They had three tiers. One was already bought, and I bought the other two, and had Devil Flyer and another character, Hopper, put on the cover. I love
hmm,
that idea that you could get your
yeah,
character on a cover. They asked me the name of the character, and then they didn't, and they put him on there, but they never said, okay, Devil Flyer, da 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 da, or Hopper created by. They never cited it. It's like, why did you ask me the character's name then? But uh, yeah, and Blue Beetle was on that. Devil Flyer was standing next to Beetle, but they couldn't use the Blue Beetle name because DC owns it. New movie
yeah,
coming out.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but they called him
So
like the Blue Scarab or something like that
yeah,
in the book.
yeah,
But it had Catman and Kitten and Man of War. So they kind of mixed their own characters along with public domain Golden Age characters, which
yeah,
was is and they still do that. That's quite interesting.
yeah. Like I said, the AC Comics people I've met were
Yeah.
always super friendly. Bud Root, who does Cave Woman,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he's a nice guy. He's really nice.
I
Um,
think Bud Root did also a cover on Andy Smith's Quardrath.
Probably
Yeah,
he and Andy
the
like each other.
Barbarian.
And
And
they're both in North Carolina, I think.
and
So
about 6 or 8 months ago, Bob McLeod was on Andy Smith's show.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if you caught that, but
I,
that's
I didn't catch it at the time. I've seen it
yeah,
since. Yeah,
yeah. But if
yeah.
you like a good interview with Bob McLeod, who doesn't do a lot of this type of stuff,
No,
um,
yeah.
that
But
was a good little get together with him.
speaking of Andy Smith, I met him at I think either MegaCon in Florida or Charlotte Comic Con
Yeah,
or
he seems to do a
Heroes
few.
Con, either Heroes Con or MegaCon. I can't
Yeah.
remember which, and it's
How
been
about
a
Bart?
long
How
time.
about Bart Sears? His buddy Bart Sears.
I've never met Bart Sears. I've never been to a show where he was at.
Yeah,
Or if I
it's like
was, his line might have been too close.
it's like in
For me.
all the comic conventions I went to, I never met Jack Kirby. I mean, I never met John Byrne.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, I mainly did MegaCon, the Pittsburgh Comic Con.
hmm
I've been to Baltimore a few times. I've been to Philly a few times. I've been to Charlotte a few times. And I was at Madison Square Garden for a Comic Con a few times. I was in New York for Comic Cons a few times, like probably 5 or 6 different ones.
hmm
Big Apple Con, Madison Square Garden Con, and the one in the New York Comic Con at the Javits Center. So
what year did you first do your first con
the
you go
first
to?
one I ever did was out. It was in a like an airplane hangar outside of Orlando. I think it was called the Orlando or Orange County Comic Con or Orlando Comic
That
Con.
you participated in or went
No,
to as a
this
fan?
is what I went to as a fan, and
Okay, all
that's
right.
where I met AC Comics people for the first time.
Oh, so that
I was
okay.
doing a fan I was running a fan website for them.
Yeah.
This
And
is
what
back
what what year would it have been? You think?
That was 97 or 98. I think it was 95 or 96 I started doing a fan website
Really?
for
Okay.
conference. Yeah.
Man, I started going to conventions when I was in the 80s. So,
Yeah, see, I was in the Midwest and we didn't really have conventions. I read about Sonya Khan, but never, I would have loved to have gone to,
yeah.
to Sonya Khan or
Well, the great thing
I
is
read about the conventions, but I was never,
yeah.
It's
great thing is I
like I
had
love
like
Corvettes, but I never owned one because I didn't have the
right.
money back then.
Well, I had, a couple older friends, John that did Devil Flyer, he went with me up to Chicago. In fact, he was the one that suggested it, got the tickets and everything. He was like he's like 71 years old, so he's older than we are. Uh
Sorry,
don't worry, it's just
my
mice in the walls.
I just heard of. It's like who's still up in this house?
Well, I want to
Am
thank you,
I
Paul,
keeping
for
some of
coming
the?
on. I would go longer with you, but my dog's giving me the stink eye.
I
Like
get
I
you.
need to go out.
Yeah, that might have been what I just got. That might have been
Yeah,
my dog pawing at the door wanting to go out.
yeah. Well,
All right, man.
thanks for coming on. I hope we can do it again, bro.
Hey, I catch you every now and then.
Yeah.
So
I know
maybe
I'm
so.
not always at the most convenient time for some
Well,
people.
it just depends on
Yeah.
when I'm surfing and what I'm doing.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
all right,
Well,
man.
it's good to meet another fellow rider, and I didn't consider myself a rider to just a few years ago, but
Hey,
uh,
yeah,
just more of like I want to do comics, and yeah, the writing was kind of secondary, but then I'm like, hey, this isn't bad. And I don't really consider myself either or to a certain degree. I'm working on both, a work in progress, but uh,
everybody is.
yeah, you
Yeah,
just have to hone the craft, don't you? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we'll have you on, and we'll definitely have you on again sometime when you can make it. Maybe we'll set up a time and have
Sure.
love
Well,
to talk comics around here.
yeah, you know how to reach me. I'm YouTube
Are
and
okay?
Facebook, and
Are you okay? Do you do Twitter at all?
I got Twitter. I'm on Twitter.
Are
Um,
you under your name over there, or Voom or
at
something else?
Here, hang on. I'll put it in the.
Okay, that'd make it convenient. We'll go outside in just a second. Give me the stink eye. Like I have needs.
So that's it. At Monsky at Twitter.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah.
thanks for coming on. Like I said, this turned into not much of a draw stream, but like I say,
Sorry about that.
I will retitle it. No, this actually turned out better. I'm think it was a really good discussion. Uh,
I
we'll
enjoyed
have
it.
to we'll have to get on and really talk about your campaign a little bit more and get it out there in front of folks. It does look like good stuff. Um, You gonna be adding to the campaign anything like maybe interior artwork or any more teasers here pretty soon?
Um, it's my first campaign, and I don't want to get too complicated.
Well,
But I don't know. I mean, but
yeah.
I suspect that if interior artwork gets added, it'll be ultimately like Fund My Comic that it'll get added
Okay.
because that'll be just ongoing, and I can add it later on if that's what anything like that. Like Ed's going to get the
Well, people
extra.
like good art, good girl art. So if you got
Yeah,
some, really good stuff to show, doesn't hurt to
yeah,
show that stuff off. That'll get you some backers because I know a lot of people like that good girl art,
yeah,
like
yeah.
yourself.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, sex sells. Who knew? I mean, I don't know that it's sex, but
I hope so. At least
okay.
sexiness. It's there's no sex, but sexiness.
Appreciate the chat. I'll probably do the draw stream a little later tonight, which probably should have done anyway. Maybe we'll get Ryan on here after 2:00 because he says that's his routine. Maybe a strike up and have Paul Ryan. I don't know if you've seen Paul working on my wraparound cover lately, but he's knocking it out of the park. He just finished it. And I think what we're going to do is one of those long gatefolds or whatever. We're going to put an extension at least for both.
Make it. Oh, awesome.
Because it's a big cavern.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Let me show that to you real quick.
Okay.
I just happen to have a picture here. Not too close, but check out Tantalizing Adventures on Indiegogo and Find My Comic. Um, Luke would definitely tell you to go over to Find My Comic. So I'll direct you over there, but we'll direct you to
Yeah,
both.
I like
Let's see.
the idea of Fund My Comic. I mean, part of the reason I went on there first is just because I like the idea of it and I want it to do well.
All right. Let's see if this come up. Proud of it, so I want to show it off.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I mean it's great to see another artist, interpretation of your characters. I just love that.
That is some
Let's
of
see
the
if this will
coolest
come
part.
up.
That's the coolest part about it is seeing people draw your idea.
Yeah, and he put in, he put a character in there that changed the story because it was a villain, and I had not considered having villains in the conflict. And then I thought, oh yeah, for a love story. Okay, so that's the front cover with the very beat up Sea Demon
Ooh, okay, yes,
character in
definitely.
a long cavernous scene. Yeah, he's all beat
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, he's like feisty, got little spiky spikes. That was the ideal, like in a boxing pose where he's all,
Uh huh.
because that's a key. This is actually for I've actually had him do this for issue 6, and I've not released one yet. In fact, I'll have my next one will be the Devil Fire prequel. All right. I thought I had a shot of them both together. Let's bring this up. This is, I think, the back cover. It'll eventually get up there. Slow as you go. Just a minute. Oh, she gave me the snarl tooth. It's like I'm not very happy with you. I have to wait on this internet. There we go. There
Oh.
we go. So they're coming through a portal in the same cavern there.
Uh
It's
huh.
so front and back. This would be the back cover. There's my swamp
So
like
this is on
character.
this when you open it up. This is on the left side, and your
Well,
devil character, your
Sea Demon will
she,
be
your
on the front, and
sea
this will be
demon will be.
here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if it's you're
Yeah.
saying it's a 3 wide cover, so this is the left side. The sea demon's in the middle, and then the gatefold will be on the right side of sea demon.
Well, I was thinking about flanking it on both sides of both pieces here. But I guess printing wise, you need to do it. Your front cover needs to be him in that boxing pose, huh?
So it would have to be in the middle if you're
Unless you specifically do one of the folds for the cover
or or
for a
you could put
poster.
you could put
Yeah.
he could be on the far right and this could be the middle if there's another one to the left of this and then the gatefold is from the back cover not from the
Well, the
front cover.
geisha girl there, she's a villainess, and I never considered putting her in, but he was going for my ash can. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, oh, that's brilliant. Glad you put her in it because I never considered if the apocalypse is going to happen, you might have some villains join the heroes to stop the apocalypse, right?
Yeah, yeah,
In the
yeah,
climax.
yeah.
And I said, oh, she's in there. And yes, they could meet. The Sea Demon and her could meet. And yeah, I have plans now, Paul, to have a love story between them, you know.
All right.
So it changed
Change the
just him
story.
doing that artwork. I was like,
Change
oh,
your
I've got a
story.
direction, for these characters.
Yeah, yeah.
He gave me ideas of, ooh, got to get these characters together, you know.
All
Yeah.
right.
So sometimes just something like that, happy accident,
Yep.
And I
Absolutely.
like that she's just very serene. She's actually a Yakuza assassin,
Yeah. Well.
a bad girl. So
Yeah.
from a different time, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
But yeah, she's going to get together. So she's. It makes sense in that she's coming to the defense of her lover, or whatever,
Hmm.
her boyfriend, somebody she likes, and that, and stop the apocalypse from happening.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah. Little
so
little thing.
anyway, we'll get out of here, Paul. We'll go
All
feed
right,
our
man.
our our, our other family members who are pawing at the doors. And
Okay.
thanks for coming
Sounds
on.
good,
I
Rex.
enjoyed our discussion about Bill Black, your campaign, and AC Comics. Really appreciate you coming on.
Well, thanks for letting me come in. It was awesome.
Hey, no problem. And
All right,
yeah,
man.
we'll have to get together and do this again soon.
Hey, well, I'll be around here and there.
Get that campaign up higher.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
All
Bye.
right.
Bow for now.
All right. Bye.
I didn't hit end. Really? Okay. I'm waiting for it to end. Anyway, it was fun. Appreciate Luke coming in. Viva Voom, of course, George Lucas Bone. Uh, who else? Lorenzo in the house. So very nice crowd. Appreciate all the views, and hit that like button if you so inclined. Uh, Spread the word, as I know Lorenzo always does. Um, Absolutely. Bow for now. And probably be doing a ink draw string, ink, whatever. Got to finish this card. I've got others going on. Put this Bill Black signed note and stuff away. And gotta go let the dog out. So yeah, we'll probably do after I take a little breather here, make another cup of coffee, stretch the legs and stuff. Uh do another stream. Why not? Get some work done.